To date, both teams approaching this like a playoff game. They got it away, and a nice catch by Posey. Touchdown! Posey again! Touchdown! It's 3 straight for Demir Posey.
We got to root against Winnipeg. If Winnipeg doesn't take care of business, we have the chance to make it right.
The penultimate Friday night of the season.
Matt Nichols has not beat the Calgary Stampeders.
50-yard touchdown strike. Nichols to Adams. Nichols again rolling wide open. Touchdown.
Going into this game knowing we need to win to get in, not having that hang over us for the next week. Feels good to get it done.
All dressed up inside Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton with the Grey Cup just 22 days away. The hometown Eskimos won't be there. Trying to finish with pride against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the team they faced to start the CFL regular season.
Last year's MOP, Mike Riley, his team is not in the playoffs this year. Who would have thought that? Another note, Mike Riley is a free agent this offseason. Is this his last game in green and gold?
6 foot something and 200 and something pound wide receivers. They don't grow on trees. They grow in Edmonton. Brandon Zylstra with the Vikings last offseason, and I believe Duke Williams will get a shot in the National Football League this year.
Well, I'm going to tell you, every snap today is going to count to this young man. He plays with so much passion and desire. I can tell you, he's going to be taking it out there and leaving it on every single play today. Chris Strebler, get to know him, everybody.
Strebler started the season with Matt Nichols hurt against the Edmonton Eskimos. That was back in June, and finishing things up with Nichols resting up for the playoffs next week. Welcome. Triple header Saturday in the CFL and TSN. Rod Smith, Henry Burris, Davis Sanchez here today, Milt Stiegel as well, as we get set for Edmonton, Winnipeg later, Montreal at Hamilton, then a big one for the Calgary Stampeders, trying to finally wrap up first in the West, taking on the BC Lions. But first up, what's up with the Eskimos? They're dressing the regulars for this game today.
I can't believe it. I know I've tried to reach out to a couple of the guys on the Eskimos, including guys like Danny O'Brien, some of the younger players who deserve the opportunity to play, because now the vets have had a chance over the entire season to do their worth, but they're not going to the playoffs.
Hey,
so these young guys need a chance because a lot of their careers will be over today.
Did you talk to Jason Moss? Did you talk to Jason Moss?
No, I didn't.
Because he saw what happened to Mark Trestman when he lost his last game. So he's trying to win this last game to make sure he has his job next week.
You're exactly right. Jason Moss wants to wake up this morning or tomorrow morning and drink his coffee and enjoy the day and not get a call to go to a press conference. I like my job, and I think he does too.
Yes. I'm totally with you.
Eskimos won't be dealing with Nichols or Andrew Harris as they rest up and get ready to face either the Riders or the Stampeders. We'll talk about that today and more. Coming up is the kickoff in Edmonton. Stick around.
Time's now, fellas. Going on 3. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's go. Going end zone. Touchdown. The Duke. Toss to Harris. Has a block. Has a touchdown.
Edward Thiessen of Steinbach, Manitoba. You can win groceries for a year if the kickoffs return for a touchdown in this game. Thanks to the Safeway Sobeys $1 million touchdown to win promotion. Million because if a second kickoff's returned all the way for a TD in this game, you can also win $1 million. Good luck, Edward. We head off to Commonwealth to start off triple header Saturday. Let's go to Rod Black and Matt Dunnigan.
Thank you, Rod. Hello, Canada. Snow blanketing Edmonton yesterday. The plows were out today. The long journey of the regular season is over. We say bring on the playoffs. One team here is heading there, the other is not. And Mike Riley couldn't be more disappointed that the Eskimos are not in their home stadium.
And Rod, could we see Mike Riley in the green and gold for the last time today? A lot of questions in the air. He's playing it out. He's expected to play the entire football game. Led the CFL in passing yards this year. And on the other side, Adam Bighill, another stalwart in the Canadian Football League. Glad to have him back. And boy, has he been the difference for this Winnipeg Blue Bomber defense. Really solidified that middle.
Mike O'Shea's Bombers, big time with momentum. 5 straight wins. And they await the outcome tonight between BC and Calgary to see who they'll play next week. Jason Moss's team free spinning down the stretch. Lost 4 of their last 5, 6 of their last 8. And here's a story today. The Bombers, Justin Medlock not in the lineup, so Ryan Langford, receiver and returner.
Look at
Big
that.
leg, will kick in this game and puts it into the end zone where it bounces out. So we'll watch Langford today, catching balls, kicking balls, and no Justin Medlock as they get ready for their West Division semifinal next week.
And that's a bit of an alarming situation there, but Langford made great on his first kickoff here. Punted out the side of the end zone. Mike Riley taking the football field. Absolutely love watching this guy play, whether the game's on the line or not. He's going to play it the same, and look for him to go the distance today.
It is not a rouge, bouncing out of the end zone. Eskimos will scrimmage. 1st and 10 from their 25-yard line. 8 and 9 Eskimos trying to get to 500, but again, outside looking in. Duke Williams, he will be the leading receiver in the Canadian Football League this year. 8-yard pickup.
And we've got him highlighted. Why not? He's been one of the best, if not the best, in the Canadian Football League. Certainly a physical presence for Mike Riley to throw to once again in his receiving core and up front. You've got a guy that's been pretty outstanding for them, playing left tackle a lot in the absence of Tommy Draham, back to the right guard position, solidifying that offensive line.
They'll go 2nd and 2 from the gun. Handing it off to C.J. Cable. Cable trying to get to 1,000 yards on the season for Winnipeg's defense. They've got some newcomers in the lineup as well today.
Yeah, and surprisingly, you look at Craig Rowe, a new addition this year. He leads the team in sacks, and of course you got Adam Bighill right in the middle. Boy, hard not to recognize him every time out. 104 tackles on the year already, and that man right there, Marcus Sales. What a surprise and pleasant surprise he's been. Outstanding back end.
We'll watch Chris Humes as well today, a newcomer getting a start, and also on offense for Winnipeg they have some faces as Mike O'Shea doesn't play all of his regulars. Some will get some action today. He talked with us yesterday about getting ready for next week, and he did say that all of those players who aren't playing did want to play today.
Yeah, says they're all in. They want to finish what they started, and they want to be out there staying in the groove, staying in momentum. And as a veteran football player, knowing what it takes to play a full season, I think rest is paramount.
You have to be smart. Here comes the blitz. Riley hangs in, slinging it out near the 50-yard line. And it's a 1st down. Fidel Hazelton, his 28th catch of the season. An Eskimo team that was riddled with injuries to their receiving core.
Yeah, Fidel's right here, and I tell you, Mike Riley's arm looks live today, and looks like he's got a lot of zip on it. Not that we haven't seen that in the past, but oftentimes you can visibly see it, and his arm looks very, very live today.
3 straight 5,000-yard seasons for Riley. Throwing again, takes a bit of a jolt. The near sideline.
Doesn't look like much. That's a heck of a grab by Sam Zaguerre, who's just jonesing for some catches this year. Really hasn't had many of them thus far. But boy, he made a nice grab there, bailing out Mike Riley, getting him 5.
Former Hamilton Tiger Cat, product of Sherbrooke University, and had some time in the National Football League with the Indianapolis Colts.
That's just his 5th catch of the season.
They get close to the 55-yard line, the midfield stripe on a 5-yard pickup. Time for Riley again, and he's got his man. And whoa, laying out, trying to make that catch, and normally he does. The Duke Williams can't come up with that. That throw just a little too far.
Yeah, I believe he's right here. Just watch a little stutter and go here, and Mike Riley's got to have time. Winnipeg fakes like they're going to bring people, and well, that's a nice route. Mike just couldn't spot him with that football as it drifted on the inside, and Duke couldn't lay out for it. Well, that's close right there.
Hugh O'Neill angling 46-yard boot, and the newcomer in the lineup for the very first time, Charles Nelson, smothered inside the 10-yard line. The rookie Chris Strebler getting the start in the final game of 2018. It's regular season. Strebler started the season first 3 with Nichols on the shelf. Gets a chance to finish it up before they head to the playoffs.
Road together.
23-year-olds fresh out of college aren't supposed to do what Chris Streveler did this year.
Yeah, and very impressive. And from every one of his teammates and the coaches talk about the time he puts in and how it's paid off for him in his rookie season. Arguably the most valuable rookie coming out of Winnipeg, but Marcus Sales get that because he's had a fantastic year at halfback for the Bombers. But that kid right there has been special.
So is 33, as always. Andrew Harris will get some touches. I would imagine limited play calls for Harris today. He might be sitting down early. He is 8 yards away from winning another rushing title. Play action. Streveler decides to throw it go himself as he boots it around the right side up to the 20-yard line, and Chris Streveler goes. This is what this kid can do.
I just love the fact that they're doing this from the beginning. You watch it from the end zone viewpoint, and as he fakes to Harris, the end gets washed in there, and then it's Wolatarski's got the edge for him. He takes it, and that gives the Edmonton Eskimo defense a lot more to think about when you stretch the field like that, because those gaps on the inside for an Andrew Harris are now going to be available.
Streveler is not short on confidence. Behind center this time. The pitch to Harris, and Andrew Harris gets about 5 yards. Give him 4 on that, so 4 away from winning the rushing title. Came in 7 yards behind William Powell, who did not play for Ottawa last night.
Just a little tough sweep here. He's going to get 5. This is easy pickings. Get half. I like it. Like it a lot. He just needed 7 coming in to bypass William Powell. Or excuse me, 8, 7 to tie. Love the fact that they're giving an opportunity to get that rushing title.
Former South Dakota Coyote, Streveler. There's the draw play. And this will give Andrew Harris the rushing title and more. So Harris now runs to the sideline, flexes his muscle, says goodbye. I think he's done for the day.
Yeah, watch the quarterback look out here
first.
first.
Title. I'm done. I'm done.
And then he slides it right to Harris. Give him that look. Give it to him. Now you get big man up on J.C. Sherritt, Stanley Bryant, their nominee for Offensive Lineman of the Year. Andrew Harris surpasses William Powell, who's been on the bench for the last couple of weeks, and he's got that rushing title wrapped up.
Back-to-back rushing titles, and Harris waved goodbye as he went to the sideline, and that's smart, I would think, as well. You don't want to have anybody getting nicked up before the playoff game next week.
Yeah.
That toss right at the first down marker from Streveler.
And a nice toss too, but Andrew Harris getting back to him. He can take a shower pill, and he didn't have to. He's done for the day, in my opinion, and he's got what they came for. And rest assured that, I mean, that's a significant mark for a running back in this league to take that rushing title, and it's a credit to the big boys up front. A lot of hard work on the inside. And this is Stanley Bryant clearing the way along with the rest of the boys, and that's the way to do it in style.
2 touches, get the rushing title, go eat some popcorn.
Shower pill.
There it is.
Yeah.
So long, see you in the playoffs.
Yeah, I love it.
So Harris and the Bombers again.
That's nice to see when things work out that way. I just hope the rest of the game goes that way for ball players, because you don't want them to get nicked this time of the season.
Yeah, nobody getting hurt. It was short of a first down, the pass to Nick Dembski, so they'll line up and bring the short yardage guys out.
Right, Andrew Harris, obviously got to highlight him. Stanley Bryant, their nominee for most outstanding offensive line. I think that offensive line's been tremendous up front all season long, and hence the Winnipeg Blue Bombers controlling the line of scrimmage.
2nd and inches, Streveler, who again started the season, the first 3 games. Never hear of rookies doing that. When Matt Nichols was hurt, there's a flag on the play. Andre Proulx is our referee today.
And a crazy start it was to the season for that kid. And there in Winnipeg, it was like he had 3 starts
offside.
in 1.
Edmonton, number 94, a 5-yard penalty and a first down Winnipeg.
And remember opening night? That was night into day.
Yeah, and that's what I'm speaking of. 3 starts in 1 game because of the weather, and in and out, no halftime. And I thought it was a tremendous opportunity for him to get coached up in his first start and always have a say with Buck Pierce or Paul Police could guide him, and hard-fought loss week 1 for the young quarterback.
Showed a lot of promise, though. And Strebler takes a shot on the far side as he
JC
faked it off to Keenan LaFrance.
And J.C. Sherritt was right there all over it. And, well, this guy, Kwaku Boateng, has been outstanding second-year player. From Wilford Laurier just getting it done. 9 sacks up front, and J.C. Sherritt in the middle. He needs 9 coming in the ball game. Got 100 for the second time in his career. Last time he did that was in 2012 when he set the CFL record. And Aaron Grimes tied for the team lead with 3 interceptions on the back end.
Strebler, 2nd and 10, moves the pocket. Will he take off again? Yes, he will. Tucking it, taking it, galloping for a first down. And this guy's feet extend so many plays.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I think this is, obviously, if you have the skill set and you watch him break the pocket here and get flushed to his left. And J.C. Sherritt's in the trail already, but there's no way you're going to catch up to this guy because he's so fleet-footed. He was a running back and a linebacker when he first started out playing football, was a receiver at one point, picks up 14 on that and made it look relatively easy. Well, that's an added dimension that really puts defenses on their heels when a quarterback gouges you for chunks like that.
Played as a receiver at the University of Minnesota with Drew Wolotarski, who, by the way, is now a receiver with him in that Bomber lineup. As Bombers will give touches today to others like Keenan LaFrance in the backfield.
Just picked up 5 there, but Strebs, well, he talks about things that he can control, and Wolotarski teammates. It's a phenomenal story there between the two of them.
Roommates,
yeah,
buddies.
Just,
who would have thought? Right now they're in the CFL together.
Yeah, and teammates in Minnesota. Strebs wants to play quarterback, so he transfers, and the rest is history. And he's taken off with it and really made his impact felt here in the CFL.
Sends out everybody now, dishing it off to LaFrance. Keenan LaFrance really had his breakout in the CFL 2 years ago for the Ottawa Redblacks around this time of year.
Yeah, really, and really set himself up. And you're going to see a Ryan Langford here, and kudos to the Winnipeg offense for being backed up inside their 10 and moving the ball down the field here to give Langford his first field goal attempt in what?
Almost a decade. Not since high school has he kicked. He was a punter in college.
University of Illinois.
At Urbana-Champaign. He's got a big leg. We watched him in warm-up.
So this is phenomenal to me. This is not easy to do, folks, and to be out here in this situation.
And do that?
Look at that.
How about that?
That's
28-yarder.
Awesome.
Could have made it from 48 for Ryan Langford, a receiver who today is the kicker. And you know who's cheering for him on that one? Justin Medlock. Loving that.
I think all Bomber fans are loving that.
Saturday afternoon in Commonwealth Stadium. Brick Field here. 3 weeks will be home to the Grey Cup game. At the beginning of the year, the Edmonton Eskimos thought that they had a legit shot to get to that game. Many people thought that. They're not even going to the playoffs. Nice catch. A couple extra yards. 15-yarder for number 15, Vidal Hazelton.
Yeah, beautiful catch. He's 28th on the year, running a dig. Everybody kind of runs underneath, clears out a nice sideline for Mike Riley, and he puts the ball on 1-5 as best he could. Hazelton has got to pick up his quarterback as the ball's behind him, makes a nice catch.
Mike Riley back in the gun, last year's most outstanding player in the CFL. Sends out everybody, goes over the top. Unable to hang on is Williams once more. Anthony Gator covering Duke Williams. You bumped into Anthony Gator today.
I did, you know, and I introduced myself because I never take anything for granted in players today. You know, it's like a lot of these guys were young when I played. So I introduced myself, and he said, Anthony. I put 2 and 2 together. I go, that's Anthony Gator right there. And he's like,
he's not the biggest guy in the world.
He's like 5'9", 175 pounds. He plays Sam linebacker.
Oh, Riley takes a shot in the backfield. 3 Bombers got to him, but that's Brian Mitchell.
Oh, that's a little heat in the kitchen right there. You gotta like it. Watch, this is a stunt that they run a lot of, coming in here like this, and then Adam Bighill's gonna come across right here like that. Little twist up front. Santos Knox takes the running back out of the picture, then here comes the rest of the posse, and Adam Bighill says hello to Mike Riley.
9-yard pickup for Brian Mitchell. Good thing they had him around this year, especially with the injuries the Eskimos to endure.
3rd and 1.5.
And 1. And Riley throwing to the far side, and it's the guy who wears that Batman logo everywhere. It is into the face of Jeff Hecht on that Bombers sideline, Brian Mitchell.
Brian Mitchell, Northwestern State Demon, down there in Natchitoches, Louisiana. Watch this route right here. Just run up here, takes patience, understanding what you're looking at. Beautiful 12-yard out there underneath coverage, and Mike Riley and Brian Mitchell make that look easy. 4
minutes to go, opening quarter. Final game of the regular season for the Eskimos and the Bombers, and why not gamble for the Eskimos today? Nothing to lose and nothing to win today. Oh, what a run. Slash and crash for C.J. Gable up near the 30.
Running hungry up front. I like it, man. Just dominating up the line of scrimmage. You're hunting it, pecking, running tough. Puts a move in the hole on Santos Knox. And Adam Bighill, as the offensive lineman, comes over and he reads that perfectly, gets him another 5 yards after that block. And that's a solid play up front from the big boys. CJ running hard.
2nd and inches, almost picked up the 10 yards. Interesting to chat with the Eskimos yesterday. A disconsolate bunch, needless to say, after what they've gone through, and Jason Moss over the last 2 months. If someone said 2 months ago, honestly, if I said to you 2 months ago, the Edmonton Eskimos aren't going to make the playoffs, you would have said to me,
what have you been drinking?
Yeah. Same thing John Gott was drinking.
Yeah. Well, I can say that.
But you know what I mean? How does, I mean, it's almost incomprehensible what happened to the Eskimos down the stretch.
Yeah, and I think they're just as much caught off guard and in an awkward position as anybody trying to understand it.
Hey, Bahar.
But when you look at it, you know, it comes into, to me, turnovers, and that's the difference between winning and losing. Oftentimes, you talk to Jason Moss, and he says it's 6 plays. If you can give me 6 plays back in the CFL, and we can have those over, and they work in our favor, we're talking about a completely different season. And I understand that. Typically in every game, it's 5 or 6 plays, a handful of plays that makes the difference. Jason just wants 6 back in the season, and he says completely different story for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Still a chance to finish 9-9. 9-9 would have won you the Grey Cup the last couple of seasons. You were in the East, but in the West, it's so competitive. If under 2 minutes to go in this opening frame, just 3-0 Bombers on the Langford field goal.
Yeah, it seems like my man, about the same size as me, coming right off the edge here, and watch what he does to Mike Riley on the ISO read. I don't know what Mike's reading. Oh, I see what he's got. He's got Colin Kelly coming over for a kick out, and Gator came underneath it, and so he came free to Mike Riley and unexpectedly hit him in the face.
2nd and 10. Comes that blitz again. There goes the ball into the shadows. Oh, what a catch by Duke Williams.
That's the 30th touchdown pass from Mike Riley this year, and that's what we're accustomed to seeing Duke Williams, 81, finish on the other side of that.
Duke-like catch as we've seen all season. Put it on the highlight reel. Maybe 1v1 stuff here as the Duke goes leaping, and this is an incredible grab by Daquille Williams.
On a really good cover halfback here, Duke Williams turned him around, 360'd him, center field turned and then went up and got it. And I really believe that that shoulder's been bothering him for a good 4 or 5 weeks, and he showed no ill effects right there. Duke Williams getting his groove on.
Final week of the regular season, final game of the season for Duke, maybe the final game as an Eskimo.
Yeah, I just hope we see him in the league.
We all do.
Yeah.
But on this final day for the Eskimos, he just went into the top 10 on catches of the season.
Yeah.
That is a gem.
That's special. That's special.
Whoa. We're used to that stuff. Fill in the adjective for Duke Williams. Mike Riley's 30th touchdown toss of the season.
Yeah, I can tell you, Rod, that Duke's finishing it on one end, but you got to have protection on the other end to make this happen, and Mike Riley gets it done. Absolutely beautiful job of the big boys up front. You watch them here as they all get it done right here, and watch C.J. Gable come up late because this is a twist up front, and he picks up linebacker coming down the middle, and Duke Williams is doing this thing in the back end, turning one of the best cover halfbacks in the CFL, and then going up and getting it, he needed a no-fly zone right there. He was in the air for a while. That's awesome. That is just good football.
I'm number one in the league for
front end to back end.
Number one in the league for a reason. Duke Williams shows it. The leading receiver in the CFL this year. Arguably also an MOP. Chris Strebler will bring his offense out near the 30-yard line. Eskimos lead 7-3, final minute, opening quarter, final game of the regular season, first game of our triple header today. Shaw Road to the Grey Cup continues, triple header day. Johnny football in Hamilton. Ticats getting ready for their East Division semifinal against the BC Lions, who tonight will go a long way to determining what will happen in the West. Calgary must beat or tie BC in order to secure first place in the West. And it's either Calgary or Saskatchewan for the Blue Bombers. Here are the numbers this year. A Calgary loss tonight. Winnipeg will play at McMahon next week.
Yeah, I don't know if I
Calgary
can,
win or tie. Saskatchewan is the opponent next week.
I'm not sure if you can read anything into those stats there, but regardless, it's going to be good from here on forward.
Could you read anything into any of the stats though all season for any fan? Because
True story.
we have 6 teams in the playoffs right now.
True story.
And any one of those 6 teams, honestly, could win the Grey Cup. Strebler into coverage. Oh, it's caught. What a catch, and going the distance for the touchdown is Corey Washington on a spectacular catch. An 80-yard connection from Strebler as Corey Washington stole the football and torched it for 80 and his first CFL touchdown.
Kept his balance as well. Love this. Just his 6th reception of the season, just his 3rd. He's right here. He's going to run a deep post. Believe me, the route's going to be longer than what you can see in the screen there, but boy, he gets on and closes that cushion in a hurry, and this ball's put on the money. Nice job of shielding the defender with his back. He slowed up just enough to keep the defender on his back, kept his balance, and he went to the house. And well, that's a big play for the Bombers' response to an Edmonton drive and score. Watch his knee here as it might be down, right?
And if it is,
he touch him? Does he touch him?
Or was he touching him on the play? So they're looking at this. Every scoring play is reviewed. It's either a touchdown or Washington is down.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he touches him or affects him there in any way, shape, or form.
Crowd reacting. They're seeing it on the big screen. How about this play, though, from Washington?
That is beautiful.
Out of tiny Newberry College.
Down in Georgia.
Yeah, Winnipeg is actually bringing their offense back on the field. They looked at the big screen.
Hell of a play, though, Stick.
I don't know if this is going to be overturned, though, because I don't know if the actual defender touches him and has any type of influence with him going down.
Mike O'Shea is being proactive here. Here's Andre
The
Pruitt.
Winnipeg player knee touched the ground, but he wasn't touched. He wasn't touched by the Edmonton player. By rule, it's a touchdown.
Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
That's the way I saw it.
And Mike O'Shea.
It was like Andre was messing with me right there. I was like, is this no good? But he said he is a little drama there by Andre Pruitt.
This is saving the punchline.
I love it.
So now Ryan Langford again.
Another peek at it.
Baby girl.
Corey Washington from Newberry down there in Georgia. Knee goes down, but defender hasn't touched him. Keeps his feet. Hightails in the end zone for his first touchdown of his CFL career.
Langford with his first point after his first field goal. This is a guy who had a touchdown as a receiver earlier this season, and the Bombers storm right back.
Make your getaway with intelligent all-wheel drive in the 2018 Nissan.
For the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who've had a number of big plays. In fact, they were #1 in the CFL in big plays. The Edmonton Eskimos were last in the CFL.
It's hard to believe.
Giving up big plays like that.
That's not, because they've been susceptible there. That was another one. Timely for the young quarterback to his fairly young receiver.
Matt Nichols loving it too. Matt getting to wear the headset and the toque today. He'll get ready for next week.
Yeah, and how about Ryan Langford too? I mean, he's making that look easy. That's a 32-yard convert, and he pounded that through the back of the end zone. I like what I'm seeing. Not that Justin Medlock's shaking in his boots, but that's pretty impressive for a guy that hadn't kicked in a decade.
Well, here's a guy, I would think the last guy to have a field goal and a touchdown in a season would have been Ben Cahoon when he did it that time.
Yeah.
To do it in a game, you'd have to go a long way back. Now, Langford, I'm not sure how many reps he's going to get offensively today.
Yeah.
If he would get a pass or a catch today. If he does get a touchdown, that goes back a long way. Louis Bisaglia was the last guy to do that.
When was that, Rod?
2000.
That's crazy.
Now, we'll have to see how it works out.
And that was Bisaglia's last game, if I'm not mistaken.
It was 1-yard plunge for Louis. Troy Westwood did it with Winnipeg back in '95. We'll see to see. And look at Charles Nelson in his first game. And there's Langford. Boy, what a versatile guy. He did it in high school, was a punter, a returner, played almost every position possible down in Florida, and then did it in college as a punter. Never had a field goal attempt in college.
Right, we were talking over the last couple of days, you and I, about the diversity of some of these athletes on the football field here today that can do a multiple different positions and play them at this level is incredible. We got a ton of them out there. One's to the field side corner, Kevin Fogg. We talked about Langford. Talked about a guy not in uniform. Maurice Leggett, Mo Leggett for Winnipeg. You talked about Nick Marshall, the corner for Saskatchewan.
A tremendous athlete. C.J. Gable with a big run there. That's the last play. Okay, this is supposed to be, what do they call it, meaningless? This is not, there's meaning to this game, by the way.
Beautiful day to play some football.
And guess what? Some big plays. We've had spectacular stuff already.
And a Russian leader out there. We got Duke doing his thing.
We got it on. 10-7 Winnipeg. First quarter numbers certainly favoring the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They lead by 3. Our stats god, Dave Moyer, pointing out yards per play, Matt Dunnigan.
Absolutely. Moisty's all over it. 17.1 yards a play for the Bombers. Thankful for that Corey Washington long touchdown, but 7.3 yards per play is nothing to sneeze at, turn your head at with the Edmonton Eskimos. But basically the Bombers, they are, they don't have the starters in there up against the Eskimo starters, and they're hanging in there. I got a first quarter lead.
How good is it for some of these guys to get experience? And I guess the other question is, do you worry about some of these players not having rhythm getting into next week?
No, I don't worry about that at all. Rest is paramount, in my opinion, when it comes to the playoffs. It's a long season, grueling season. You see how it decimates lineups and guys limp into the playoffs. No, I think when you get as healthy as possible, it's always a good thing.
Like Riley to Brian Mitchell, and the other thing, of course, is that always that X factor, the death factor of having some sort of injury heading into a postseason that has derailed so many Grey Cup hopes in the past.
Get coaches fired too. I mean, it's just, it's one of those constant things that are always in the balance, and it's $1 million question trying to figure that out sometimes.
It's been an air show so far here today. Both quarterbacks, the rookie Strevler, the veteran Riley.
Ryan Mitchell doing his thing continually here as well.
Mike Riley decides to run it. There's Mike Riley, who never, ever, ever mails it in anything he does. There's a flag down on this play. Toughest player in the player poll again.
Holding.
I want to say
57, Edmonton, 10-yard penalty. We'll repeat first down.
I want to say it's Riley's 4th consecutive year of being the toughest, voted by his peers, and recollection serves me correctly, but regardless, he's a perennial winner of that, and it speaks volumes to his approach to the game, and certainly the time he puts in to the training staff for the Edmonton Eskimos. Let's not forget those guys that keep these guys as healthy as possible throughout the season.
Riley now is the first sack of the ball game. Never got back to the line of scrimmage.
Drake Nevis getting in there kind of on the back end. LSU product. They're playing a big game tonight against Alabama. Looking forward to that one. But they're coming off the edge here, and they're going to flush Mike Riley up into Drake Nevis. Watch him just come off the edge right here and force Mike Riley to step up. Nice job by Sales coming in there and doing that from his halfback position. And
playing in Death Valley tonight. LSU, Alabama, the #1. Riley, pocket squeeze again.
He said, "Get off of me."
He could go if he wants. He decides to throw off his back foot. Big jolt on this near sideline. The catch made by Kevin Elliott, who's had some traveling this season, just coming from the BC Lions, the former Argo.
Yeah, and just his 15th catch in the year. That's a big one.
Not sure if Mike Riley was over the line of scrimmage, though, when he threw that. It's a flag down.
Let's see that again.
Well, that's a bad spot, too.
Illegal forward pass. Edmonton number 13. The passer was across the line of scrimmage when he threw the football. It's going to be a 10-yard penalty, and we're going to repeat second down.
Yeah, we're going to show this to you and see if we can't get a look at how close this was for Mike. And as he scrambles here, does a nice job of using his size and strength to break and contain. He slides to his left here. Pressure comes outside, steps up, feels it. Well, that's pretty tight. That's pretty tight.
So it sets up second in a small country. Second and 32 yards here. So the Bombers are going to
I would have liked
lay back.
Would like to been able to freeze that for you, give you a better look at it. But if the head linesman or linesman judge is right there on it, looking down that line, so that's his job. And felt like Riley was over the line there, and like you said, second in the country.
Bombers rush 4 and still get to Riley, and this is picked. And it's Jeff Hecht who has the interception, and Mike Riley just got walloped as he threw that football, and another pick from the Ball Hawks. Riley slow to get up, and Jeff Hecht, the former St. Mary's star, has his second pick of the season.
That's his second pick of his career. His first one was back in 2011. Good on you.
Jeff Hecht with the turnover.
Yeah, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you said it, Rod, second in a country mile basically for Mike Riley, and they're just going to drop everybody in the back end. Real simple here, just umbrella coverage. And Jeff Hecht is right on the hash right here, and he doesn't move. And basically this is a gift because pressure late and Mike's forcing the ball down the field, and this is what happens. The gimme, and that's a nice play. And this Mike Riley in the other end, it's not so pretty. Well, it's actually pretty on both ends. He gets shellacked right there. And that took the breath out of him for a while, and he toughed it out.
Keenan LaFrance spinning. So Jeff Hecht, again, second pick of his career. But for Jeff Hecht, playing in place of Taylor Loeffler again. Loeffler getting another week of rest before the postseason. Hecht, normally a special teams player.
Yeah, and I tell you, talking about Michael Shea about him yesterday, he was like, yeah, I feel real comfortable. Very intelligent player back there, understands that position. And it's interesting the lineage here because St. Mary's product, you've got Neal in the back end for the Edmonton Eskimos, Neil King, he's a St. Mary's product, and I love the fact that you got St. Mary's free safeties all over the field today.
Look at this scramble by Strevler. Gets upended, but still was able to pick up positive yardage when he looked like he was going to be thrown for a sack. Strevler does it again.
Yeah, he does. And this could deflate a defense in a hurry when you've got ability like this. And I'm excited for CFL fans. Get to watch this kid play a lot today. Hopefully for a long time into the future, he's going to be a special one.
He's been on an accelerated path this season. He does not get the first down.
Winnipeg's got a substitution problem here. Simonet's coming in there.
Last minute substitution. Clock will go down to 0. They take the time count.
Winnipeg number 84, 5-yard penalty. It remains third down.
Now that one's not on Langford.
Oh yeah, it is. That's it. It's going down in the sheet
well,
like
it goes down on him, but
that's the bad part of that.
So let's see what Ryan Langford can show us with the punting leg. This is something that he did do in college. Averaged about 40 yards per kick.
Watch him for the ball game, and he was angling in there like Justin Medlock, who leads the league with punts inside the 10.
And Martese Jackson, the former Argo, out near the 40-yard line. So Mike Riley throws a pick, but no points on the board for the Bombers, who lead the CFL in points after turnovers. Early in the second quarter, Mike Riley back at it when we come back. Make no mistake, Mike Riley wanted to be in the Grey Cup in his home stadium, but not this year for the Eskimo quarterback, who feels gutted.
The reality is that that's what we earned. You know, it wasn't taken away from us by anybody. It was, it wasn't earned by us to get into the playoffs, and that's unfortunate and frustrating, disappointing, all those different things. But that's the reality of where we're at.
Reality is 8 and 9, and you want to play your best football in the second half of the season. They didn't.
Reality is too, Rod, is the fact that Mike Riley's taken some shots out there in this football game.
And what is Mike Riley after today?
Yeah, he's a free agent, and he can go where he wants to, but I think there's a lot on the line here for playing it out and just wanting to be out there with your teammates. You got to think a little bit further down the road. I think if you're Mike Riley or Jason Moss, with whipping your horses down the road like he's doing here, playing them in this football game.
Riley's played essentially every down for the Eskimos this year. Veteran Kevin Glenn has not had a touch at quarterback. And the 39-year-old, where his future lies, that's a question mark as well. There are going to be a lot of question marks around the league, but particularly here in the Eskimo Empire. There are undoubtedly going to be some changes after what has to be an excruciatingly disappointing season.
Yeah, I agree. I can see it coming. I can feel it.
5 receivers set for Riley with protection. Looks one way, goes through his reads, and then pegs one over the middle, incomplete for Elliott.
Yeah, Javon Johnson on the back of Kevin Elliott. I think he's going to get called for defensive pass interference, maybe getting there a little too early, maybe having an arm wrapped around him. Take another look at it, running a little 7 route, little dig coming left to right in your picture. Mike Riley's got plenty of time on this play to knife it down the field.
Defensive pass interference. Winnipeg number 8.
Chris Randall.
Point of foul, which is 11 yards, will be a first down.
Yeah, my eyes deceived me there. It wasn't two. It was Chris Randall, and easy player being called for an infraction here. Here he is in coverage. I mean, he sees the route. He's anticipating it based on tendencies, and he's there a little.
C.J. Gable again inching closer to another 1,000-yard season for the Eskimo offense. How much weight do you put on the Eskimos' failures in the last half of the season on the Darrell Walker injury?
Not a lot. I'm not buying into that, and I don't think any of the Edmonton Eskimos are too, right? It's the next man up mentality. Mike Riley pointed out a real solid fact. He says, last year we were 12-6, and we had 200 games lost to players being down, and this year it's half of that, and they just got to, they need to find a way to be better.
That's offside. Oh, that is way offside.
Tristan Oplaugo.
Wow.
Just lit up Beard on the center, and that was kind of like a kill shot, plunk in the center for sure. I mean, that's one of those plays where you can, unnecessary roughness. I mean, that's just, I mean,
there's 2 fouls on the play. Offside, Winnipeg number 54, and a major foul, unnecessary roughness, Winnipeg number 54.
Yeah, there you go.
You're going to go up 20 yards and a first down Edmonton.
Winnipeg team that takes less penalties and penalty yardage than any other. Very disciplined, not on this play. Oplauga did not time that up very well, Manny.
No, he didn't, and he paid the price for being offsides, and then he just continues and plunks Beard, and you can't do that. I mean, that guy's not in position to defend himself, and you take full advantage of it, and should be a major foul.
Oplauga goes to the sideline. The Eskimos go inside the red zone. We're first in the CFL during the regular season inside the 20.
Yeah, really solid there.
1-for-1 today. CJ Gable slicing down near the 5-yard line.
Almost 69% inside the red zone, scoring touchdowns down there. Just really solid here. And this is CJ on the edge. Just, I mean, just going to dance out here in space. Love it. Comes underneath Ian Wild.
CJ Gable's 1 yard away from 1,000 on the season. We're getting into Mike Riley's sneak territory where he's had 13 touchdowns this year. He gets down near the 1.
It's funny talking about that yesterday. He said CJ's starting to dive in from the 4 and 5 yard line because he knows he's not going to get a chance if it goes to the 1. And this is Riley. He's trying to get in there from the 5 yard line here, and he's got a nice hole. He's able to exploit there. And he credits all those guys up in front of him, 330 pounds plus, and moving it out for him. And he knows the effort that's being made for him to get those scores. And here you're looking at, looks like 1st and goal here on the 2, and they're going from the gun, giving Gable an opportunity.
They'll give it to Gable, and he'll score easily. That's the way to go over 1,000. Go over 1,000, going over the goal line and going on top of the Blue Bombers again. CJ Gable with his 7th touchdown of the season, his 6th rushing.
Yeah, and I know that Mike Riley's happy to give him this. You know, those touchdowns don't mean anything to Mike. It's all about winning games and spreading around. And you're going to get big boys up on big boys here, and it's an easy walk-in for CJ Gable. Nice kick-out block here, right there at the point of attack by a veteran, Calvin McCarty, paving the way for CJ Gable to get an easy walk-in touchdown.
Well, still some Eskimo pride here.
0-0.
Fan Appreciation Day, and great fans through the years. Sean White buries that point after. 8-play, 76-yard drive engineered by that guy, Mike Riley. Penalty assisted as well. And CJ Gable caps it off, and back and forth they go on this final game of the regular season for the green and gold and the blue and gold.
Hey, finally, everybody back home. Thank you.
Everybody back home in Southern California, the former Trojan out of USC, Carl Jr. Gable.
Let me get this right for you. We got down blocking here. Ian Wild's going to get upfield here because of Mike Riley's, and then you're going to watch McCarty coming over here and kicking out. Jeff Heck coming up for run support. Wild gets high. Mike Riley sees that, gives it out. There's a kick out, and CJ Gable's in the end zone. That's a beautiful thing. CJ Gable, congratulations, over 1,000. Third back to do it in the CFL this year. Harris, we saw it earlier, leads the league. He's going to take that title this year.
Unless CJ Gable gets 300 the rest of the game. I don't think it's happened. Look at this guy, Charles Nelson, his first game in the CFL of Oregon.
flag on the play as well. You know, you talk about the 3 leading rushers in the CFL this year. Hats off to William Powell's had an outstanding year. He's just been on the shelf, kind of resting the last couple of weeks, and justifiably so as they head into more important time.
Holding. Winnipeg number 21, a 10-yard penalty. First down Winnipeg.
Ottawa Red Blacks winning last night in their season finale.
24-9.
Over the Argos, who earlier today fired head coach Mark Trestman. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I just thought it was a different year for the Toronto Argonauts on so many different levels, and I felt a disconnect between football ops and management and marketing.
A lot of injuries there too, including Ricky Ray.
Yeah, no question. But I don't think the team would have been much different even if Ricky had been healthy. I believe that there was something different with Mark's time at the helm this year than we've seen in the past, and it ultimately was decided prior to that game being played last night that they're going a different direction.
He likely won't be the last to go on the firing line in the coaching carousel in this offseason.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of opportunity. Let's just say that for coaches that are waiting in the wings, and there's quite a list of them out there to, I think, assume those roles. And I just think that there's well over a handful that you can talk about, and it's an exciting time and difficult time because of the folks that are being moving.
And with the CBA as well, and there's a cap as well on executives in your front office. So when you're making moves right now, is going to be very difficult with that CBA in limbo.
Yeah, you can free up space, but you just don't want to put those people in space because of what's going on with the CBA and the cap that's putting on football ops with 11 coaches allowed now.
Nick Dembski, first catch, that this second catch of the day, 10-yarder. Give him 9 on this play.
Talk about a guy that's really thrived in a Paul LaPolice offense. Anything Lapo draws up, this kid's able to do, whether it's run, block, catch, return. He's exceptional, and he's really starting to feel it and understand what it's like to be a pro. Nick Dembski in a very unique situation along with Andrew Harris and Keenan LaFrance, all 3 running backs from the province of Winnipeg. And I know that LaFrance and Dembski being teammates, it's just a phenomenal story. 3 solid running backs just stemming from basically the same area on the same team producing.
Yeah, it says a lot about the high school football ranks in the Manitoba area. And Nick Dembski, who also went on to play the University of Manitoba with Keenan LaFrance, and I'm sure, as you mentioned, mentored and looking up to a guy like Andrew Harris, who was able to not only make it to the next level, become a star at the next level.
Yeah, it's just a phenomenal anomaly, I believe, that's happened with these folks, these 3 players.
Scrambler over the middle for LaFrance, who again had his breakout. Wasn't that sensational a couple of years ago, getting a chance?
In the situation.
In the situation, speaking of William Powell at the time, unable to play. LaFrance plays for Ottawa. Basically led them to the Grey Cup game.
Like well over 150 yards just went off. And it was like a mutter in some terrible conditions and footing. And it looked like he'd been playing it all his life, which he has been in Manitoba.
There you go.
So he just said, thank you very much. I'll run with this opportunity, and run he did.
And of course, went to Saskatchewan, now back this hometown team. Artis Jackson is back. Under 5 to play. End over end by the receiver turn kicker Jackson. Mishandled that, muffed that, and was lucky to hang on a 47-yarder. Well, every week we turn the mics up on CFL Wire.
That's how you lock somebody down right there. Who are you talking to? Get back in the order. Get back up. My dad said, y'all had a dream last night you're going to score 2 touchdowns. Yeah, the DB had it, and it went straight through his hands, and it landed right in my hands.
CFL Wire Tuesday, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Mics are up on TSN1. I would have loved to have heard you mic'd up when you were playing.
No, you wouldn't have.
Would we need a censor?
Hey, Paul Graham, our executive producer, he's our boss. PG, he had me mic'd up in '88 when we had the last All-Star game in the CFL. And he couldn't get that thing off me fast enough in the first quarter after 2-3 series, and it was
Little Blue.
Well, we didn't have the bleep thing back then, and I was pretty vocal out there, and I just love that CFL Wired because it takes you to the inside of the players, what they're thinking, what they're saying, and takes you right back to the game.
7 for 10 on second downs already for Riley. Throws a dart right near the yard marker, and it looks like it's going to be a first down. And Bryant Mitchell hauling it in.
I mean, you talk about being productive. Bryant Mitchell, this is his 8th start this season, and he's like over 800 yards in 8 starts, and he's making hay while the sun's up, that's for sure.
Clock ticking close to the 3-minute warning before halftime. And around here, Mitchell gets a chance to carry the football this time. Picks up 8.
I just like, and Mike Riley talked about Bryant Mitchell yesterday and saying, he's been here a while. This is actually his 4th season, third in uniform basically, but he's been here a while, he's simulating things, had his opportunity, and he's running with it now.
Last play before the warning. Gable. It's another first down. The Eskimos moving the ball with the lead, a 4-point advantage. 2:37 to go before halftime. And a game that has no consequence to the standings is actually a good close football game. We've had some great plays so far. It's the 3-minute warning signal to both sidelines here at the Brickfield Commonwealth Stadium.
The studio getting set for halftime, 3 minutes away. We're going to talk about the uncertain future of the Edmonton Eskimos with Mike Riley heading to free agency. Also, the Argos' decision to fire Mark Trestman just a year after they won the Grey Cup, and he was Coach of the Year. Let's go back to Edmonton now to Rod and Matt.
All right, thank you, guys.
Hey, how about the boys back in the studio? Another triple header to wind up the regular season here. Good luck to you guys. I hope that Jamie or Hambone feed you well.
Yeah, they got catering, I'm sure. There goes Mike Riley again. Well, they got Henry throwing, Milt catching, Davis intercepting, and Rod refereeing all day long.
Rod's playing center.
He's playing. No, he's the center.
He's got to start every play.
Yeah, that's right. And starts with a snap, right?
And sometimes he's an eligible receiver, and he's not adept. He's adept at laying out for making the tough catch.
I'm interested in hearing that conversation.
Yeah.
About what happened in Edmonton this year and what's going to go on in Toronto. That's coming up in a couple minutes. Back to this game, though, 2nd and 4. Gable swipes off Ian Wild. Minimal gain.
Found a lower price on tires? We'll match it, guaranteed.
Lucky at Cal Tire, I imagine their plates were full yesterday here in Edmonton. I mean, when we rolled in, we saw nothing but one car.
We didn't roll in.
Yeah.
We slid in.
That's right, we slid in. J-Mac, Jeff McLeod, our producer, he drove us in from the airport. Well, we saw all kinds of carnage on the drive in, and Cal Tires, I know, was busy today.
Yeah, they were. You still see some of the remnants of the snow. They did a good job plowing. There's snow-covered field, and makes you wonder what it's going to be like in 3 weeks here. Can't wait for the 106th Grey Cup. Celebrating the 30th anniversary of the stadium for the Eskimos, their 70th anniversary, and they would like to be celebrating it by playing in it, but they won't. So Chris Strevler, the final 2 minutes of the first half.
It's playoff football right now. We have to finish this. Everything you got, everything. Every single play. We're going to etch our name in that book. It's no other result, but we need that field with a win. Let's go!
Who is going to be in that Grey Cup? That is the question. Next few weeks will determine that. Starting next week with the West and East semifinals. Bombers don't know who they're going to play yet. There goes Strebler, 5 for 5 in this quarter. Decides to call his own number. 4 yards on that.
Yeah, and just talking about that, I think Ottawa's going to be well rested, so they got to win one game to be there. I like their chances. You know, now that Hamilton's decimated, BC's 2-7 on the road, so when they're the crossover team, they haven't performed well on the road all season long. And in the West, your guess is as good as mine.
And Saskatchewan will await the outcome tonight. Calgary, BC. You know BC's going to cross over, and J.C. Sheridan there trying to strip the football. So the Bombers don't know where they're going next week yet.
Timeout.
They do know they'll have
Edmonton.
to go through the road. We may see for the first time a crossover team finally get to a Grey Cup game. Anything is possible right now.
If they can turn their road scenario around, like I said, they're 2-7 this year. BC was on the road. They got to cross over, play Hamilton. They got to find a way to beat them, which I think is doable. No disrespect to Ticats. I just think that without Speedy B, Jalen Saunders, Terrence Tolliver, and Chris Williams, their receiving core has been decimated, and Luke Tasker can only do so much. So I think that their chances are pretty good in the crossover in the semis. And then when they go to rested Ottawa, good luck with that football team.
Well, defense wins too. Hamilton's defense has been good. What do you make today as we watch Langford kick once more here?
Look at that. He turned that one
this
over.
Boomer. Oh, this is a monstrous kick.
That's amazing.
From a receiver. 69-yard boot. Long field in the shadows.
It gives me chills, man. That's good. That's good stuff right there.
This is a great story today, Ryan Langford.
He turns this thing over. I mean, when you're punting a football, this is exactly what you're looking for every time. Little low snap. He rights the ship, attacks it. Pretty big drop there, but boy, he hit that on the sweet spot. And if you can watch this ball turn over in midstream, boy, that's a beautiful thing. Carries 69 yards.
Could you imagine the ratio changer this guy could become if he decides that he might want to do this?
Oh, look at him.
What they say? For the brand?
Wow, that's awesome.
Riley back at it. They rush 5. So another story today that's developing. I'm wondering what you make of the news that Drew Tate has been signed by the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
It just goes to show you that things are not stable with Zach Collaros, in my opinion, because, you know, he took that shot, went to concussion protocol, and there was a lot of talk about that and how that was handled, and hopefully we'll get that right for the future and protect our quarterbacks, and our spotters will be all over it. And I just think that that is more of an indication how serious it is with Zach Collaros, and whether it's David Watt, further Brandon Bridge, now it's Drew Tate into the mix, and I just think they're trying to get more and more security there because of the delicate situation that Zach Collaros is in right now.
Nobody likes seeing that. We wish Zach the best. And hate to see a guy who's played so well and been able to help build the Riders this year.
Here's the question I have is, okay, if you weren't happy, or if there was some doubt about who was number 2 and who was number 3 and if they could carry the load, and you're looking for more experience, why wasn't that sought after earlier?
Yeah.
Why isn't Drew Tate there earlier? And, but you know, that's a question that they're a situation they're trying to address. What about that throw and catch?
Riley. Teaje with his first catch, his 21st of the season, up near the 50-yard line.
That's really nice. It's a dart. Is Jeff Heck coming down trying to get over the top of that, but no. That ball was spotted perfectly and a nice acrobatic catch by Teaje.
19-yarder, 16 seconds left in the half. Riley has to work here. Time ticking down. And they are immediately in field goal position. Another catch by Duke Williams.
And Mike Roddy just airing it out. 20-yard chunks here.
So will they bring out Sean White right now with 8 seconds to go before the half, or will they go with one more play? They have a 14-10 lead. It looks like White is coming out. So this is going to be the final play of this first half, which has been, I'm not going to say surprisingly, but I would say pleasantly surprised that it's been so competitive.
Yeah, Winnipeg, they're out here to finish the deal, and so the Edmonton Eskimos, according to Jason Moss yesterday in sit-downs and interviews, and I think a lot of pride, and certainly 9-9 is better than 8-10, and going into the playoffs on a roll and continuing their streak for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers is huge.
47 just barely makes it. Crossbar, skimmer, just crosses it.
Just a lob wedge, that's all that is, baby. That's just a lob wedge.
With a little backspin at the end for Sean White. And the Eskimos in their final game showing that they can play for some pride and maybe a W. This battle of the W and the WE. 17-10 Eskimos. Let's send it back to Rod Smith with Milt Davis and Henry Burris in the studio.
Gang's all here. Thank you, Rod Black. Boy, Sean White, always just enough to get that field goal. How about Ryan Langford? Who knew?
Crazy.
What a booming leg right now. You know, Rod, Matt even talked about it. We're going to talk about it too. Just the future of the Edmonton Eskimos. I mean, like you said, it's hard to imagine Mike Riley anywhere but with the green and gold. But you do have to wonder the disappointment this year with the Grey Cup in Edmonton, Milt, and not making the playoffs, and just all the uncertainty with the CBA and with Mike Riley becoming a free agent.
And he came out and said he couldn't imagine himself. I mean, he has to say that. He has to say all the right things. He still is in green and gold. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's somewhere else. I mean, you look at what he has around him, and this year he took a pounding. There was a lot on Mike Riley. There's a lot going on with that team. Not only Mike Riley, but you talk about your guy, Duke Williams, Darrell Walker. He's a free agent. And if those guys leave, does Mike Riley want to come back to that team? I'm sure there's 3 or 4 other teams who will be going after Mike Riley.
It's about the relationship, I think. When he makes his decision, Jason Moss, he has a relationship with Ed Hervey in BC. Much speculated. Deal, huh? It's much speculated that BC is a possible landing spot, in his relationship with Travis Lulay. All these things, guys, we've all dealt with it. It goes into the decision. But like Ross said, uncertainty, I think, is the key word.
No, that's huge, because we all know the most important piece on that chessboard is that quarterback position. I mean, if you don't have that right quarterback in place, good luck to you. Oh, well, look at Montreal, Toronto. They'll tell you.
Facts.
But the bottom line is this. Look at which way these organizations are trending. You just spoke of BC. I mean, here they are getting ready for the playoffs, and the team that's hosting the playoffs. Edmonton, they're not. So, like you mentioned, the offseason is going to be key. Jason Moss, we know he signed that new deal through 2020, but the thing is, are the pieces going to be in place for Mike Riley on the field in Edmonton? Because they're definitely there in BC.
And you speak of BC, their GM is who? Ed Hervey. Who gave Mike Riley his first starting job? Ed Hervey. He was the one who saw he had something in him. So it will be interesting. I know the Edmonton Eskimos wish the CBA was intact because they could have offered Mike Riley. But Mike Riley is waiting to see what that salary cap is going to be so he can get all
he's in a good spot.
He's in a great spot.
But guys, there's a team right here where we're locating our studios that could use him also. Toronto, even Montreal possibly could use him.
Montreal, Saskatchewan, there'll be a lot of teams going after him. Why wouldn't you?
Good situation.
Great situation.
Give me a quick thought about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They're on the road. We know that next week. What we don't know, we don't find out till later tonight, is it going to be to Calgary if the Stampeders lose to BC, or will it to be to Saskatchewan? Where would you want to go?
I want to hear Hank's. I want to hear Hank, because what you said off camera, I think is great, and I agree.
Well, my thing is, if I had to go against a quarterback in the 2-minute drill, I'm going to go with the quarterback that has the least amount of experience and the one I can have success against. So I would take Saskatchewan, even though they have a great defense. So does Calgary. But give me a quarterback that hasn't played in the big games or has the experience or is proven. It's simple. How would you don't want to play Bo Levi in those big games.
I'd rather go into Calgary than to go into Regina. That atmosphere there is very hostile. You think about it. If they're playing Calgary's coming off losing 4 in a row. No momentum going to the playoffs. I'd rather go to Calgary than go to Regina.
I agree, Calgary versus Regina, but I also, with Hank, I would rather go against.
You're riding the fence again. Make a decision.
I'm not talking.
I don't want to play against a potential Hall of Fame quarterback as far as in that situation.
Well, they're not playing too well.
No, we'll find out if they can break it. Right now, it's a 3-game losing streak. Will it be 4? They take on the Lions later. Part 3 of the triple header at the half. Back, talk about Mark Trestman after.
You're going to stop bullying me, Milt. Real talk. Real talk.
There's the draw play. And this will give Andrew Harris the rushing title and more. So long, see you in the playoffs. Oh, what a catch by Duke Williams. Put it on the highlight reel.
Big news this morning. The Toronto Argonauts fired head coach Mark Trestman. That came after their loss in Ottawa last night. They finished at 4-14. He had just 2 years in Toronto, but of course, led the Boatmen to the Grey Cup championship just last year.
This was not an easy decision. It was a very difficult decision. Mark is a good man. He's won a lot more games than he's lost in his football career. But it was a decision that I felt we had to make.
Obviously, really enjoyed playing for Mark, and learned a lot from him. Obviously the year we had last year was pretty special, and he's just a great man, a great coach, one of the best coaches I've ever played for.
It's tough to stand out here and have to answer these questions, but this is the business, and we all volunteer to be part of this business, and it's brutal. When the axe comes, it comes, and it shows no mercy.
Chaz, we watched the game last night. You were at that news conference in Toronto today. How surprised are you at this news?
Well, Mark Trestman and Jim Pope, I was with them in Montreal for 2 years, and they seemed like the relationship went well. We won, so that was a big part of it. Yeah. But there was obviously a fracture with this when the GM goes out and signs a quarterback, and then the head coach doesn't play him. And one of the things Mark Trestman always says, and we've talked about it here, perception is reality. The perception that James Franklin's smiley demeanor, he doesn't care, I think Trestman believes that's a reality. And
what the heck was I doing then?
Smile and Hank was your nickname.
That wouldn't bother you?
But you won a lot. No, it wouldn't bother me.
Yeah.
That's not affecting the way you play on the field just because you smile all the time. I would love to have somebody who was happy.
It bothers me.
It bothers you?
It does.
No.
Yeah.
So if it was another position doing it, a linebacker or a defense, you wouldn't have a problem with it?
It would bother me as well.
Seriously?
It would. Because,
so if you're losing, you expect that player to be mad and...
No. But I mean, does it bother you?
Well, it bothers me, but what even bothers me worse, even more than that, is the fact that he didn't have the personnel that he had last year. As far as Mark Trestman, even the quarterback didn't have the same guys to work with as last year. Last year they had one of the best defenses in the CFL. They were tied for league in the league in sacks with 50 sacks overall last year. But they have the worst defense in the entire CFL this year. So how you expect to win? Because the defense wins championships.
And the key word you said is winning. You have to do more than win in this market.
Yes,
you have to do more than win in this market. I mean, the man won the Grey Cup last year, so it's more than win.
When a GM signs a quarterback and a big money guy in the offseason, the head coach is supposed to play him. There's obviously disconnect.
Right. Well, I mean, Mark Trestman won a lot of games in Montreal, 500 last year with the Argos, but a championship. His only losing season in the CFL, and it cost him his job. That man won a whole lot of games. There's a chance to win one more tonight and push the Stampeders into second place. BC Place, yeah, he's got a few of those too. Wally Buono getting set for his swan song at BC Place.
Oh, it's on.
All right, I want to go to the long ball right away. Yes, touchdown. Chez was all about the defense.
Time to finish this. Yes!
Hey,
that boy got talent.
And it's where art imitates life, too. But you got a young one at home.
Good.
Thank you.
Hey, you're the next Denzel Washington.
That's what I was going to say.
You are the next Denzel Washington.
Watch out, man.
You got
jokes.
It. You got jokes, huh?
You got it, man.
So did you make up to your baby for that?
What you didn't see is my wife going in there and actually being the one to take care of that. So credit to her.
That's so
Academy Awards, buddy. That was good acting.
Talent.
That was good acting.
Hey, you on your way. You on your way.
Thank you.
Make sure you say hi when you get that Oscar, okay?
17-10 Eskimos with that.
I'm leaving you guys. I'm going to.
A game that was circled on most calendars a couple of months ago and that became inconsequential in the standings. But don't say it hasn't had any meaning. There have been some big plays, and these two quarterbacks, a rookie and a vet, have put on a high percentage show.
Yeah, Chris Streveler started it off for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the beginning of the season, and he's putting a bow on it here at the end, having an impact. And he's just showing you that he's got a lot of ability and certainly knowledge for such a young guy to come out here and execute the way he has. Showed off his strong arm on a couple occasions. Only had 5 completions in the first half, but showing you a bit of a difference between a young guy making his 4th career start in the CFL and then to the veteran Mike Riley. who absolutely is just showing you what he's all about, why he was the MOP last year and thrown for well over 5,000 yards for the third year in a row. Mike Riley lighting it up, 16-19, over 200 yards in the first half. And well, we're fortunate to have such good quality quarterbacks in this league. We're watching two of them today.
Yeah, we may be watching a future star, though, in Chris Streveler by all accounts so far. Streveler only had 5 completions, had 5 attempts, so he's perfect. Small body of work. Nelson in his first CFL game is up near the 15-yard line, so the rookie in his 4th career start against someone making his 96th in Mike Riley.
Yeah, I mean, and you see what's being asked of them and some of the things that they're able to do, and what Paul Police, offensive coordinator for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, is allowing people to see offensively for the Bombers today, because you don't want to tip your hand. You run a complimentary package that he's comfortable with, and now you're going to see Brian Bennett out there, kid who played at Southeastern Louisiana, Raging Cajun. He grew up in California. And, well, you talk about a guy that can sling it all over the yard. Bennett's got a cannon for an arm, and big boy, and had a good chat with him yesterday. Looking forward to him playing some ball. Johnny Augustine just got a touch, so they're kind of emptying their bench over there, and I love it.
So it's kind of like a preseason before a postseason.
Yeah, get these guys, get them some quality PT, get some reps underneath their belt, and I love the approach that Mike O'Shea's taking here. We saw it early with Harris, get the rushing title, get him out of there, and now in the second half here, getting a look at a bunch of other up-and-comers.
Again, the Bombers, the 4-game win streak. 5-game win streak after 4-game losing streak. That's on the line here today, but it doesn't really matter. Again, they're going into the playoffs next week.
It's almost like Brian, he had too much heat in the kitchen there, and then he just kind of slung where to Simonese, and he turned before he had it. That's pressure defense by the Edmonton Eskimos here to start the second half.
Sean Simonese getting a chance to play, the Calgary Dino, former 2nd-round pick. He's only had 3 receptions in his first CFL season. 3rd 2-and-out for the Blue Bombers, and might expect some offensive pains here in this second half.
Yeah, you look at Langford punting the ball there and then coming down in coverage. You got to think that if a returner broke free, it'd be pretty hard to run away from Langford, in a chase as the punter, right? That's another aspect that you were talking about it, Rod, and how appealing that would be to have the abilities of a Ryan Langford, capable of doing a bunch of different things for your football team.
Returner, receiver, kicker, punter today. He's done it all again. Pressed into action with Justin Medlock out, getting ready for the playoffs. Like to see Langford throw the football too, you never know. Mike Riley stays in the ball game, and wide open is Mitchell on the far sideline. Knocked out of bounds by Kevin Fogg, his 6th catch of the afternoon. 23-yard gain. Riley to Mitchell on the hookup.
Yeah, Mitchell's right here, and he's going to run a really, really deep out. I can't even draw how far down he's running down the field. And yeah, that takes forever to develop there. So credit the big boys up front for getting the job done and keeping Riley clean so he can push it down the field.
I'm sure Eskimo fans probably thinking the same thing that many of you watching are, is where has this Eskimo team been the last few weeks? Just winners of 1 of their last 5, 2 in their last 8.
But let's not forget that a lot of the collapse happened in the second half for the Edmonton Eskimos quite often.
A lot of them inability to finish.
Yeah, and so we're going to see if they continue to roll the starters out there. We're going to see whether or not that holds true here. 7-point lead now, driving, and there's a lot of head scratching from my perspective as to why some of these guys are still out there and they're not doing what the Bombers are doing in this situation, taking a peek at some other guys.
He's curious in some respects. A pump and go, but there's a flag down. There was movement on the line, and Mike Riley scampers out.
See, and that's the thing right there.
A late flag again.
Ex-teammate has horse collar on Mike Riley there, and so that's going to offset I think, the holding penalty. But that you're not going to take the fight out of the dog, so you got to take the dog out of the fight. Blake Dermott, ex-teammate of mine, he and I actually came in as rookies together.
I love what he said to you. Because you were complaining to him that he said, well, why is Mike Riley in the game? And Blake said to you, Matt, they couldn't drag you out of games.
Yeah, well, that's why sometimes you got to get in front of the player. And, you know, it's that situation there. He could blow out a knee, and then what's he got for contract leverage with whoever may be his suitor this offseason and looking to, you know, progress down the road with his career. And I just think that you're risking a lot here in a lot of ways.
Offside. Edmonton number 81. That penalty's declined. Holding. Edmonton number 66. Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Horse collar tackle on the quarterback. We're going to go up 5 yards. Automatic first down for Edmonton.
That was like a podcast for Andre there.
Yeah, I love that. But, you know, he's got a lot to figure out there. 3 penalties on the play. And this is after everything else has taken place. The offside and the holding by Edmonton. And there's Wild just grabbing cloth there on Riley and pulling him down. And that's a very vulnerable position for any ball carrier, let alone Mike Riley, reigning MOP.
So Riley scrimmages 1st and 10 with a 7-point lead from the 30 after all those penalties. Everybody in motion, empties the backfield, and then calls his number again.
Wow.
Mike Riley, again, as most games, I'm sure, is going to feel this after these games and need some ice bags.
And Rod, this is what we were talking about. First 9 games, they're hot. 6-3 last, 2-6, and just look at that right there. This number here, if you can focus on this one, turnovers. And that will absolutely crush any type of momentum and snap any type of good feeling you have offensively. And then defense is out there too long, then now their points go up, and it just kind of snowballs.
Riley, far side, coming back to it. Nice catch for the first down. There's Elliott.
It's a great job of our sound guy out on there on the sidelines, getting that little catch there by Elliott, and hearing the effort that's put into going down low and securing a dart from Mike Riley, moving the chains. Oh, I love that. Just the sounds of the game. 12 yards, the sound of that, just spectacular.
Pads are popping today as we get closer to the postseason. 2 for 2, the Eskimos in the red zone today.
Oh, he's got it.
Here's Batman. Ryan Mitchell bashing his way. Still on his feet, and they can't bring him down. And Thomas Miles with a lick on Ryan Mitchell, but you can't stop Batman.
You can't. You can't. And boy, this is running back growing up, and you see a little of that here in his balance and ability to take a shot.
Anthony Gator with the first.
Well, we know Gator goes about $150, so I mean he bounces off of that. No, I'm Anthony Gator. He plays physical football, and he's a strong side linebacker. Is always in cover, and he came up there and laid a lick on Mitchell, and Mitchell took it, absorbed it, and got a few more.
7 catches. Riley again. Is it C.J. Gable time? The option play.
Oh, no, they're blown dead ball foul.
Mike Riley thinking about that 14th touchdown of the season.
And I thought I heard C.J.
Legal
Gable.
procedure. Edmonton number 31. This is a 5-yard penalty. We'll repeat first down.
Oh, yeah, because you can see him. I can see Calvin McCarty and what he's doing. He never got set. He's right here. And if you can run that just right before he gets down, he never gets set for a second. And that's a legal procedure, dead ball foul, and they got it right. So C.J. Gable's complaining because he thought he had a walk-in touchdown possibly. And the veteran, McCarty, didn't give him a chance.
They'll move it back. It's 1st and goal now, just inside the 10-yard line. Riley stands in. Deep shot, deep end zone, and overthrow.
Well, back in the day, that was a 25-yard end zone. Might have had it on that one.
Hazelton runs out of room.
That's the second time we've seen Mike Riley miss a deep ball with a wide open receiver, and oftentimes it has to do with the pressure. And of course, he can't follow through, and he's trying to spot it as Drake Nevis, LSU product. He goes 6 foot, 304 pounds. Try moving that around or dealing with that in your face.
Second and goal. Again, time. It closes, and Mike Riley is sacked. And that will bring out the field goal unit. Craig Rowe has his 8th and a little flossing going on.
Yeah, he is. They did a pretty good job for big man. God, he's coming right here. 2-point stance, looking to get after the quarterback one more time for his team leading sack, and he gets there, and then he shows you what a little bit of his dexterity. Pretty nice job. Just 8th sack. But I remember when he was a Lion, he was doing the spear thing, you know. Now you can't use a sword or any type of weapon, and I thought it was pretty good. And I always put it back in his holster.
Brought out the floss instead.
Yeah, broke out the floss. I like that one too.
10-point game now. Sean White again. Green and gold 20, and the blue and gold 10 here.
Come on, give us the floss, baby.
Let's see it. Little Fortnite. There we go. Whoa. Patty, I want to see you do that.
King, blow out a knee.
It's playoff football right now. We have to finish this. Everything you got. Everything. Every single play. We're going to etch our name in that boat. It's no other result, but we need that field with a win. Let's go!
3 weekends from now. Can't wait. Grey Cup right here at the Brickfield in Commonwealth. Who will be here? Could be the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Most definitely will not be the Eskimos. Bennett again, still at quarterback. A high toss for Daniel Peterman. Brian Bennett, not a large resume professionally, but he did a lot in his college days.
Yeah, he did. And he said he fell in love with being down there in southeastern Louisiana and the culture that you're kind of just involved with. And Raging Cajuns is their nickname down there, and for a reason, because the Cajun influence is alive and well, and you just learn a completely different lifestyle than what you'd experience in California.
You would know well about that.
Yes, sir.
My friend. And
just the cuisine, the music, the just the player that you're recruiting down there. You have to actually recruit. If a player's a hunter or not, know that.
Holding.
And know that.
Winnipeg number 66. Penalties decline. 3rd down.
Because these players are up hunting early in the morning before practice or before classes, and they're hunting after practice. And you just have to know how that culture is, and accept it and deal with it and work it into your program.
Did you do that?
Oh, I hunted with my buddies on the team for sure, and they taught me a whole bunch of stuff. And just the cuisine and the Cajun food alone is just spectacular. The music, the art, the art is down there it's a little different, man. Yeah, my wife and I, we spent a lot of time in Louisiana and certainly New Orleans and Winfield with our best friends, Trey and Sarah. And we just absolutely fell in love with it 40 plus years ago.
How it ever became the Big Easy, though? Because
it ain't easy down there.
It ain't easy in so many ways, bro.
2010 asks. Well, like Kevin Glenn beside him, Justin Sorensen not in the game today. The classy veteran chatted with him yesterday about all the talk this week. The Eskimos finishing it off for pride.
I hate when people say that when you're knocked out. Oh, play for pride. Well, so you should always be playing for pride. That shouldn't change. That shouldn't be this week. Okay, well, let's play for pride this week. You should always be playing for pride. You're playing for your family, your friends, your teammates, the name on your back, all those things. So it's when people say play for pride this week. No, I always play for pride. Play because it's your job and you love it and it's football. That's why we're playing this week.
I love that clip. Rewind that if you're a young athlete, play any sport. Rewind that. That's what it's about.
Yeah, and I asked specifically for him yesterday in sit-downs and interviews, and Our producer, Jeff McLeod, understood it from the get-go. He knew I wanted to talk to a veteran guy, although he's not starting. David Beard is at center.
He's banged up.
He's banged up. He's going to have knee operation, microfracture surgery. You know, he wants to have it this week. But he's a leader there, and he's been there 9 years, and I wanted to hear his take, and I love it.
Mike Riley looking to extend a lead. Riley stepping up, decides to go. He'll likely slide or hit to the sideline, and he does. And this says everything you need to know about Mike Riley. Here is a guy who is playing his final game before free agency and still playing in 5th gear. He doesn't know any other gear, by the way. 19 yards on that rumble.
Yeah, Mike Riley gets a really nice job by his center there. The guy that Justin Sorensen is mentoring, David Beard, had a really nice block on Opalago to open up that hole for Riley. And it just goes to show you how those guys are tight-knit and they continue to work together whether on the field or not.
The fearless Riley, no question. He is a warrior. Hazelton wrapped up by Ian Wild.
Yeah, you know, Mike's parents are in the stands here today, and often are. And we got a chance to holler at them yesterday and hug their necks. And, you know, when your folks are in the stands, you know it. And, you know, it adds to the mix. And just the way who Mike Riley is, he's going to leave it out there 24/7. And you're seeing that here this afternoon.
Again, big question marks here where he will be. Will he remain an Eskimo? So many question marks. Little jump pass to a J. Of course, on that far sideline, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers probably would love this clock to run over the next 20 minutes. Get ready for next week for Mike O'Shea, who yesterday also talked about the pride factor and the belief factor. And it was interesting watching you there, Geraldo Rivera, yesterday, you know, trying to get some stuff out of Mike O'Shea, asking him about how it's become his team. And it looks a lot like every player on this team is a mini Mike O'Shea. He was having none of you.
Oh, he was. I was trying to sell that, and he was not buying. And but I really like the way this team has really taken his lead in his honest persona, whether he's going to admit to it or not. But
that was a bad hold, but it worked. Bobbled snap. Sean White puts it through. He doesn't want to be outdone, by the way, by a receiver returner today.
And he won't be. He won't be, because he's been money all season long.
He has been money his entire career. The White Knight, 23-10, Edmonton. Well, part of Grey Cup week, of course, is the annual awards festivities, and here are the Bombers nominees. Adam Bighill doubles up. Andrew Harris, last year's most outstanding Canadian. Being tight this year. Brad Sinopoli in the East. You'd have to figure he's got a good shot at that. Stanley Bryant, Justin Medlock, special teams not playing today, and Marcus Sayles, the rookie, although you would have had a vote as well for Chris Strevler.
That one? Well, no. I love Marcus Sayles as a player. I think he's one of the best in the league, showing that, proving that really quickly. And I like his playmaking ability. You know, you can just justify that Strevler could be in that category as well.
So, wait, like there?
Responsible for 20 touchdowns with Strevler. Again, limited time, and it was 4th start. Bombers scrimmage again, 4:46 to go, and there's Biggie. What an outstanding season he has had. He might be the most outstanding player in the CFL.
Oh, it's on.
All right, I want to go to the long ball right away. Yes, touchdown. That shows was all about the defense.
Time to finish this. Yes!
Welcome back to the Brickfield Commonwealth Stadium. 3 weeks, November 25th, the 106th Grey Cup will be contested on this storied turf. 23-10 Eskimos, Bombers playing a lot of their secondary players, some of their practice roster players getting in this week. Johnny Augustine getting some touches for the first time of the season, the former Guelph Griffin.
Yeah, running with a purpose there. Nice hole in the middle. Watching Brian Bennett out there get some quality reps, and I love it.
Welland, Ontario native, Augustine, 25-year-old, undrafted star at the University of Guelph. First down by the Bombers. This second half goes Bennett. So invaluable. I want to go back with you when you got those first reps in your career and what they meant to you.
Had 26 of them in my rookie year. Yeah, I was a cheerleader for Warren Moon back in the day, and I was his favorite cheerleader. I mean, I was his most avid cheerleader because I charted 501 of his passes that year, and when I got out there, I remember like it was yesterday. I was so excited, so geeked up, over the top. I really needed to figure out how to settle down. It took me about 8 years to do that.
Well, he's settled down to a Hall of Fame career. You know, Strevler reminds me of Matt Dunnigan circa 1980s.
Wow. It's
the way he plays that kind of, when he put his hands up in the air, was running down the field. I saw you do that a lot. 16.
Youthful exuberance and enthusiasm, and just not caring. I'm out here playing, and remember, it is a game, and I enjoyed playing it, and I think you see that in this kid. A lot of guys in the game today, but Strevs is very animated, certainly very gifted, fleet of foot, and when you're not seeing things as clearly as you want to from the pocket, oftentimes you can rely on that, and it helps you out.
Oh, big hit downfield on another kick from Langford. And Chris Strevler, again, anything could happen down the road. You never know, but his head coach has liked Chris Strevler from the start.
Yes, right there you had.
He's impressive. He was impressive, early on, and getting to play as a true rookie, start the season for us, and there's obviously been a lot of growth, but boy, he was ready to go then too. When you're around him every day, you don't take it for granted by any means, but you're just aware of how much work he puts in, and how at a very young age he's a pro.
Make no mistake, Matt Nichols is their guy right now that potentially could lead them to a Grey Cup. But isn't that a terrific option as Calvin McCarty gets a touch here, to have a young rookie who is fearless?
Yeah, and he was he had a better than 2-to-1 touchdown ratio, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions this year. Also scored 9 on the ground. Just involved in 20 touchdowns as a rookie, as a quarterback, and very versatile. I like the group that he's with, and Paul Police, Buck Pierce, Matt Nichols, and Brian Bennett. Yeah, you're just looking at some quality guys there to kind of impart knowledge on you.
It's funny chatting with him yesterday. I remember chatting with him at the beginning of the year. He's so fresh-faced and somewhat naive. But he's also a guy who was jettisoned north of the border to a different culture in a different country.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
And here he was. He said he had the bye week, and he stayed in Winnipeg and went to a Jets game, and got to know a little bit more about the city. Loves the city.
I was doing the same thing in Edmonton, and when I played, and I shared season tickets with Hector Pache and went to the Oilers games, and it was just an amazing experience.
CJ Gable.
That's 36 on the other side there. Marcus Sales coming up. No, that's not. That's 35.
That's the newcomer, Chris Humes.
Yes,
out
that's
of
Humes.
Arkansas State.
Big boy too now. This guy's bringing it, 6'2". And he gets all of CJ down low. And get your head up, though. Get your head up, young man.
Heels overhead goes CJ.
You can't be ducking your head on contact.
2nd and 12. The rush is on. Delivered again to Hazelton on the money. 6th catch for him. 9 different receivers in the ball game for Mike Riley today, so he is spreading the wealth.
Yeah, that's from the far left hash to the far boundary about 25, 30 yards downfield, and that's a 55-yard dart from Mike Riley. That's a 22-yard gain, but they had to throw that ball about 50-something yards in the air to get there. That's beautiful. That's taking advantage of the size of this field and making the defense defend every part of it.
Final ticks in the third quarter. First game of our triple header. Montreal and Hamilton coming up, then later tonight, the game that has the most meaning of the day, Calgary and BC, and the Stampeders looking to lock up first in the West, but they haven't been able to do that the last few weeks on a 3-game slide, so the Bombers have to wait until the final result tonight before they determine their opponent.
How good is that? You know, just not knowing until the, I'm not talking about for the Bombers' sake, but for the CFL and meaningful games. Last game of the regular season is outstanding, and Calgary's certainly in some uncharted territory.
Hazelton once more stays in, does some dancing here. A little juke and a jive on the sideline, flag down. The quarter can't end on a penalty, so let's see what this is.
I love the effort. I just don't know where, you know, ball security needs to be important here. And he's carrying that thing around like a loaf of bread.
It's like a loaf of bread. Drink that, so good shit afterwards.
Mike Riley, listening to you?
Hey, I mean, we're thinking alike here. You know, it's like, he's got to put that away.
Pass interference. Winnipeg, number 8. That penalty's declined. The gain on the play was greater than the penalty. Quarter time.
So they are calling the quarter. We'll head to the fourth. The Eskimos with a 23-10 lead, looking to finish strong in a season that went south. Winnipeg Blue Bombers getting ready for next week in the postseason. Playoffs loom in the Canadian Football League in the final week of the regular season on TSN. Final quarter coming up at this stadium before we all gather again for the Grey Cup game. And the Edmonton Eskimos dominating now their A team against the Bombers B team.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But at the same time, the Eskimos trying to win it not only for pride, but also they want to finish at 9-9.
Yeah, that's understandable. 8-10, when you say that, is not good. And 9-9, okay, we finished 500. We let some opportunities slip between our fingers second half of the year, and we got something to build on. I just think that perception-wise, I get that. 9-9 is a whole lot better because that never goes away.
You know what they're thinking right now, though? Everybody around this city right now is thinking, where was some of this when they needed it earlier? Because this is the third game of the season series. They can take the season series from Winnipeg, but that's the CFL. That's football.
I think it's also different, too, because there's no pressure on them right here, really. They're just playing free. I saw it at the beginning of the football game in warm-ups, and this football team is just a little more relaxed than they were in weeks before, because there is no pressure other than to go out there and just, hey, let's go out there and play like we know we can. And talking to these guys, Jason Moss said that they learned their fate 4 days left with their bye week. So they had plenty of time to grieve and get over it, and they had a great week of practice, and it's carrying over.
Full out blitz that time. 2nd and 5. Looks like it's complete to Kevin Elliott on that far sideline. Will be short. You're right what Moss said. So I'm going to ask you about that. You know, with no pressure, do you think the pressure got to the Eskimos over the last 6 or 7 weeks, especially trying to close out games?
Oh, I think it can. And younger guys in a lot of different places trying to figure that out on the fly and as a team and as a unit week to week. Yeah, it's not easy to do. And the difference between winning and losing is very close and marginal here in the CFL. And Jason Moss also said it's very hard and difficult to win in this league, and oftentimes it comes down to 1 or 2 or 3 plays. And well, that's an example of the big boys up front plowing away for Mike Riley getting a first down. 100% on that this year.
And again, a Blue Bomber team that likely would just like this clock to move at double speed. Stay healthy, gear up for next week. Win streak doesn't mean anything right now. CJ Gable, he gone. Touchdown.
Let's go.
C.J. Gable.
Hey, how do we eat over here, baby?
Second major of the day.
Yeah, working it up front here. Watch these guys all peel out here and just zone block, and Gable's going to hit it up the middle, and he's gone. And this is absolutely just spectacular. Colin Kelly getting it out there, kicking out. And he got Norman out there leading the way, and then C.J. Gable's got a burst, and he had a nose for the end zone right there. Big play for the Eskimos.
Again, trouble with the snap, but it works out for Sean White. Pours it through. C.J. Gable rips one to the end zone. 10 carries, 90 yards. C.J. Gable rises up. Final game of the regular season, 14 carries, 98 yards after a 10-play, 90-yard drive. 2 touchdowns on the day for number 2.
Hey, watch big man here, Sorensen. He's going to slide out here and get a peel-back block, and you're going to get Norman up here on the second level, and these two guys get an opportunity to get out in front and pave the way for C.J. Gable. So the veteran gets a nice block at Bryant, and then you see Norman doing his job down the field, and a burst by Gable. That's well executed. Edmonton Eskimos looking like they're playing fast and free here in the second half.
Again, something they just didn't have in the last couple of months. Goes Charles Nelson to the 42-yard line. And again, the Bombers with a number of their practice roster players in the lineup. So good to see Justin Sorensen in the lineup again.
Yeah, getting some love from his offensive line coach, Mike Gibson, and they're going to have a blast. I can guarantee it. Beard, Sorensen, and O'Donnell right there, all instrumental. That was fantastic. And
that's why he took free work. Yeah, work day.
Look at that. They're having fun. I mean, that was well executed. Well designed, well executed by everybody up front.
Oh, Strebler back in. Look at the moves this guy's got. As he looked like he should have been swallowed up and sacked. Instead, he picks up 4 yards. So Strebler getting more reps now into this fourth quarter.
Yeah, you know, Derek Taylor had a phenomenal stat that came out this week of quarterbacks with 80 reps in the pocket or more. Chris Strebler leads on with quarterback efficiency rating in that situation, which may surprise some folks, but there you saw his ability to escape and get a few yards.
Strebler to Nelson. First catch in the Canadian Football League for the Duck.
And let me clarify what I just said there. So this is quarterbacks under pressure in the pocket, and Strebs has the best quarterback efficiency rating in that situation. Quarterbacks with 80 or more attempts there.
And Brian Bennett getting some time. Do you think this has a lot to do with getting some rhythm for Strebler for next week into the playoffs? Because here's a backup who gets a lot of packages, and he just got hammered.
Yeah, I also think the competitive instincts of Coach O'Shea and maybe Paul Police is like, well, you know, Bennett's, things have kind of stalled for us here. We're falling 20 points behind. Let's see if we can't get back in this with our, and pressure's coming from the top of the line here, right off the edge, and Strebs can't deal with it. I don't think he anticipated it well. His eyes weren't right there as Alex Bassey gets in on him in a hurry and forces that errant throw.
First incompletion, 6 of 7, was 5 of 5 in the first half, rested in the third. So Strebler trying to make it respectable. Oh, he's got Simon Eyes is going to score. Oh, no, he didn't.
Oh, no.
Oh, can you believe that? Rashawn Simon Eyes was a yard away from his first CFL touchdown.
But what a beautiful pitch and catch there by 2 young guys. Strebs and Simon Eyes down the sideline, a rail shot, and Aaron Grimes out of desperation in catch-up mode's got to go chase him down. 53 yards on the reception, and here you've got
Johnny Augustine's first CFL touchdown.
So right back in it with 10:40 to go in this ball game, and I think that's what the Bombers' offensive staff was kind of thinking there. Put Strebs back in, see if we can't get some momentum, get back in this ball game, because it's important to win this for them.
Simon Eyes, who played a lot up in this city and of course in Calgary as a Dino, played against the Golden Bears in their rivalry, almost had a touchdown, and the Guelph Griffin, Johnny Augustine, has a souvenir. That one will likely go to a trophy cabinet or the people who made it possible for him to be here.
If they don't turn things up here in the fourth quarter, then that souvenir may be tainted a little bit,
Langford is only perfect today. Only perfect as a kicker. And the Bombers are still in this thing.
Yes, they are. Big boys up front working it for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Johnny Augustine and Strebler doing it again. Over 5 seasons at the University of Guelph, Johnny Augustine scored 28 touchdowns. He has his first as a CFL player.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Started out with the sweet feet of Strebs, trying to make a few people miss under duress in the backfield. Little underneath throw. And then here, just right over the top, just completely caught the veteran Aaron Grimes looking in the backfield, and Simon Eyes went over, capitalizing on the nice pitch and catch from the young quarterback to the young receiver. Absolutely what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers needed to get back in this ball game.
Kind of a pooch kick here.
Look at that.
The big man. Kwaku Boateng.
Sometimes, guys look like they don't know what to do with the football. It's like, I know this is kind of weird. This is unique. All of a sudden, the ball's in my hands. Oh, I'm running. Looks like he's never done that before, but did a pretty nice job getting what he could.
Late bloomer to football, Kwaku Boateng, who has become a stalwart.
He's had fun with it, though. He's having fun. Everybody laughing with him. Not Adam laughing with him, because that's fun for him.
House call every time.
Thinking house call.
That's awesome.
10 minutes to go here. 2-possession ball game. Mike Riley staying in, it looks like, right to the final gun of this 2018 regular season.
Legal procedure. Edmonton number 60. A 5-yard penalty remains first down.
You got a 9-team league. Will be 10-team league, I think, in the next couple of years with Halifax.
That's exciting, right?
You got a 9-team league with 6 teams that make the playoffs, 3 don't. You'd have to consider this Edmonton Eskimo team, based on personnel and what they have, one of the best teams never to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and to a man, I think the Eskimos realize that, and that's what's so disappointing, frustrating, and embarrassing, is they didn't live up to those expectations that they had been building and working on, and it's frustrating. It's not an exact science. You got a lot of moving parts week to week. Jason Moss is responsible for that, and putting the product out there, and the fans are hoping for it, and it just wasn't there this year.
He said yesterday he takes responsibility and accountability for it. That's what coaches do.
Yep.
What is his future here with the Eskimos? He talked rather candidly about it yesterday. He says he wants to be here. He's working towards next year already. He said he's more excited right now.
More motivated.
And more motivated than ever before.
Yeah, and I get that. Because they often say you learn a lot more from losing than you do winning. But certainly a lot more fun to be winning than it is losing. We heard the boys talk about it in the studio at halftime about what their thoughts were. And I could see Mike Riley going to BC with Ed Hervey and Rick Lollisher, ex-Edmonton Eskimo executives over there already. And I just, there's Len Rhodes right there. And he's this gentleman right here. The Prez. And he's got some decisions to make. And I believe that change is in the air.
Will they be snap decisions? Will they be like Toronto, who made decisions right away? Riley, pocket closes. Now he takes off once more. Goes head first that time.
And Len's job maybe not be free from
scrutiny.
So, you know, I just think that when you have a season like this with expectations high, you're hosting the Grey Cup, everybody's disappointed, and heads could roll in those situations.
In the last few years, host cities have not made it to the Grey Cup. Remember, we went through that 3-year stretch back when Saskatchewan won in 2013 on home field, Toronto won in Toronto in 2012, and BC in 2011.
And it's so hard to do that.
Oh, is it ever?
And did it 3 years in a row there, and then it's becoming, oh, it's the norm. Everybody can do it. No, it's difficult. The pressures are real, and they're different.
Nelson has had a few touches on returns. I will tell you one thing, Matty. Even though the Eskimos aren't there, it is going to be a great Grey Cup party-wise in this city. They got some stuff planned.
Yeah, they do.
Do I have to worry about you?
Collective effort.
Do I have to worry about you?
I have to worry about you, Blackie. Come on,
right.
don't go there.
There we go. Where would you rather be than on your couch today? Or at a stadium? Alouettes, Tiger Cats coming up after this one. Shaw Road to the Grey Cup continuing. Johnny Manziel looking for another W, and the Cats looking to next week. They'll play the BC Lions, and the big one tonight, the Lions could knock the Calgary Stampeders into second place. They would host Winnipeg next week. Stamps have lost 3 straight. A Stamps win or tie, and Winnipeg will travel to Regina next week to play the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And we cannot wait for the playoffs. Bring them on. Something about November air.
Yeah.
You've been there before, man.
You can feel it. You can feel it. Everything's culminating and being funneled and intensifying. And ball security, making tackles, taking advantage of opportunities or opponents' mistake. All those things are heightened, and it just gets so real and fun.
So now in a I formation, pistol now. Augustine goes to the side. Strebler again. Don't count out Winnipeg in the final 8 minutes here. Are you an analytic metric guy? Are you like the money ball kind of guy? And I know numbers do mean a lot.
Yeah.
Do you think the numbers mean as much in the playoffs, or that number that resides somewhere in your heart and in your mind?
I think it's intangibles, and I think they play a part, and you have to be always cognizant of that moving forward and how you plan and attack and deploy people. But I mean, tendencies and numbers, yes, it's a huge part of what you do offensively and what to anticipate and what plays to call and things of that nature. But there's also an intangible of guys just stepping up that, you know, you don't expect, and those unsung heroes, and you'll see plenty of that from this day forward.
Well, this unsung hero today is number 25, Johnny Augustine.
Yeah, he's running with a purpose, and those guys are coming downhill, and credit the guys up front. You see Stanley Bryant just getting it done right there, and then of course on the edge you got your perimeter players that got to maintain their blocks, and that's happening. So Johnny Augustine, he becomes a beneficiary in a hurry when you're getting that kind of help.
Augustine, 14-yard pickup, 49 already.
I remember him during training camp in preseason, and he was explosive then. It caught my eye.
Strebler pitches it inside to Nelson to use those feet. Quick Charles Nelson. And his first game has been impressive too, so we're getting a chance to maybe take a peek at the future of some potential CFL players down the road.
Yeah, we've seen this play, a little underneath shovel pass, and counts as a forward pass, and he's got a big lane there. His misdirection is also is working for Strev and the Winnipeg offense right now.
19-yard gain, and again a clock ticking inside 6. But a 2-possession game. Bombers score here. Don't go anywhere. Now the blitz off the edge, and there goes Strebler again. And Chris Strebler down. He's going to score. Touchdown, Strebler. Oh, my goodness.
Want some, get some. Bad enough, take some. And that's what Strebs did right there, baby. Woo!
Chris Strebler, the seas parted.
Yeah.
And then he went slicing up the middle, and Strebler has his 10th rushing touchdown, but this one is one of the most memorable.
Yeah, and he saw it, and once he got a full head of steam going, I knew it was happening. He was not going to go down here.
Look at that head shake.
He just blew right past Forrest Hightower and into the end zone. And you got to love the competition and the way he competes and leaves it out there. I love it. He reminds me of the other guy on the other side of the field, number 13, just loving the opportunity to go out there and compete in the game of football.
Langford with his third PAT.
Yeah, I know.
Strebler, who you likely will see in the playoffs. This is, again, a rookie who just isn't in there for short yardage at times. They use him in a bunch of packages, and can you think of anything better than this?
That's why he transferred from Minnesota to go to South Dakota, and it was so he could play that position and do those things. And we're glad he did, because we're getting a glimpse of it here in his inaugural year in CFL, and he's not disappointing.
He's grown in front of us as fast as that beard has grown, Chris Strebler.
That's not as good as John Gott's. And I say John Gott for a reason, because he's my new favorite all-time CFL player.
He might be the all-time hero.
Yeah.
John Gott today is viral.
Yeah, he went viral last night. And
could there be anything more Canadian or CFL than that celebration? I guess if it was a Canadian beer, it would have been a little bit better.
Yeah, and I know there's some folks that don't like that celebration, but I really enjoyed it. It was something that he thought about doing for years, and finally pulled the trigger, and a little help from his girlfriend. And saw it in the end zone after being part of the quarterback sneak and rooting him out, and then he bolted like he was late for a date. And he went over there and grabbed that beer, and like CC said, make quick work of it.
Yeah, he chugged it and then he crushed it. That was a beauty, eh? Samuel Jaguar and the Bombers make this a one-possession game and looking to have a win streak going into the postseason. Here are the Eskimos nominees. Mike Riley, obvious at most outstanding player, although Duke Williams also had a monster year.
A crazy year, and oftentimes that's a topic of debate, is whether or not you should have two nominees being able to come from one team. And there's the argument for that. J.C. Sherritt closing in 100 tackles for the second time in his career. Kwaku Boateng feeling his oats. Matt O'Donnell playing a couple positions. Sean White, 90% in his field goals this year. And Money Hunter, the back end, rookie, just like Marcus Sales for Winnipeg, having a tremendous year in the secondary.
Riley going over the middle. And Mitchell wants a call. Wonder if we'll see a challenge on this play. Riley got hurt as he was throwing that football. So again, the risk and the reward for Mike Riley in this final game before free agency.
Yeah, this is ugly for Mike Riley, because this is a lot of weight coming at you. Watch what he does on the inside and comes back around, and it's a rib fest. It's a barbecue over Riley's, and he gets there right there in the move inside. Drake Nevis says, how about 6 foot, 304 pounds and landing on your ribs?
Tender.
That hurts.
16 of 24 on second down conversions. They make it 17 or 25. Fidel Hazelton just dusted Jeff Heck.
Oh, he certainly did. And, Mike Riley, showing that he's tough as nails and why he's voted by his peers the toughest player again this year. Fidel Hazelton, you talk about it, the physical play of the receiving core is phenomenal, and it's very consistent from year to year. And this is why. I mean, Jeff Heck is a physical free safety, 9 years in the league at St. Mary's, and he took the full brunt of that from Fidel Hazelton and said, we're competing out here today.
C.J. Gable. Yards after contact for him. Mike Riley, again, another sensational year, putting up the big numbers. He has now thrown for 300 yards 9 times this season, another 300-yard game. We saw all their nominees. The issue with the nominees for that team might be 2 words getting to the next ballot, the 2 words being no playoffs.
Yeah, it's hard. A lot of times those numbers, Rod, they just lose their meaning because of, and it's sad but true. You can can pile up the best numbers in the world, but it's all about winning and losing.
Mike Riley will be the first to tell you. Wants to go deep, it looks like, but now he has to scramble and get rid of it quickly, and Mitchell can't hang on. And there's a penalty flag that flew, and it looks like it's an interference or contact call. This looks like it will keep the drive
pass
alive.
interference. Winnipeg number 35. This will be a 10-yard penalty and a first down.
10-yard penalty, first down, and likely the final play before the 3-minute warning.
And Humes got caught there. Mike Riley buying some extra time, making things happen in the pocket so he can get that ball away and draw that DPI. I tell you, it's a very competitive football game, Rod. We're pretty lucky. 30-24, 3 minutes to go.
It's been a really good game, and there have been some great plays, both sides of the ball, all three sides of the ball, really. Special teams as well. All three phases, as Mitchell has had a gigantic game again, and Mike Riley still standing strong.
Far more competitive than what we saw last night. And I just hats off to the Bombers and the Eskimos for laying it out there for 57 minutes thus far. It's been a very good game, and a lot of guys getting some valuable playing time, and some veterans out there showing you what shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Winnipeg came in this week. Their motivation, stay healthy, play well, go for the W, keep the streak alive. But as Chris Randall said, one of the reasons they want to play well here today is because they could play here in 3 weeks.
Yeah, fair enough.
3-minute warning. Here in Edmonton, the Eskimos up 6 and driving.
Coming up on TSN's 1, 4, and 5, part 2 of the triple header. Johnny Manziel coming off his first CFL win, finishing his first CFL season where it started in Hamilton. And could this be it for John Bowman? He said he's 98% sure. What a great career he's had. Back to Edmonton, Rod and Matty.
Down the stretch, final 3 minutes. Mike Riley takes a licking and continues ticking here in this final game. Certainly doesn't have to play by any means. There's a flag on the play as Cable stretches it down near the 25. Make that Natea J down near the 26.
Yeah, I think it's going to be offsides on the Eskimos, but Natea J, you know, I like to see more of that type of play call
Offside.
for him.
Edmonton number 15. A 5-yard penalty will repeat second down.
Because I saw a lot of explosiveness there, and he kind of looked like a running back in space there, you know. And I like what I saw there. Just a lot of talent in open field and explosiveness. Not by Natea J, neglected by Vidal, being a little over anxious.
2nd and 9, 2:47 to go until the Eskimos season is over, and one of their most important off seasons in their history coming up. Try to keep this guy. I would do everything possible to do that. And Hazelton trying to make a circus catch.
Well, I think he should have had that one. I think if you ask Vidal Hazelton if he catches this ball, 99% of the time he does. That's a heck of a throw by Mike Riley. Well, look at this.
So it's 3rd down, a field goal attempt coming perhaps.
Oh, you got to have that.
They will punt. So Hugh O'Neill's coming out, play for position here.
Yeah, the fella and player that I was trying to liken Natea J to is Terry Vaughn. He reminded me a glimpse there of Terry Vaughn in open field.
So they'll punt, and Winnipeg has a chance to potentially win this. Their rookie at the helm. O'Neill has had 8 kicks inside the 10. This is going to be right at the 10.
Give it to him.
Whoopsie. And so 100 yards to go to pay dirt and a victory for the Blue Bombers. So time now for our Shaw connection of the game.
Yeah, we could have given it to the young kids, Trevs, you know, throwing it down to Washington and beautiful. But we went with the veteran, the back of the end zone to Duke Williams. Seems like we've seen a lot of this year.
This is a catch of the year candidate.
Yeah, it's nice. That is really spectacular. Offensive line did a heck of a job in that play. to give Mike Riley the time to spot it to 81. Duke, take a back.
Shaw connection of the game brought to you by Shaw, superfan and proud sponsor of the CFL. And of course, we are on the Shaw road to the Grey Cup. 8 for 9 for Strebler. Now has to work the 2-minute offense here and a possible game-winning drive.
Yeah, and this is invaluable, this scenario for the young quarterback in his offense. Working the 3-minute drill here. Touchdown and a convert wins it for you.
And a win doesn't mean much.
How about that defense for Edmonton, setting up a 3rd and short situation here, just playing on the other side of the ball there.
Augustine, the Bombers with a 5-game win streak, would love to have that momentum going in, but it really doesn't matter once you get into next week. But how good would that feel to get a W, to go in knowing that you played a lot of your B players, and you kept everybody healthy for next week?
Yeah, and that would be immense for this football team. I think continue to build the confidence they've already put together in their 5-game winning streak.
Could be ball game here with an Eskimo stop. Strebler's in the gun on 3rd and 1. And he'll hand, no he won't, he takes off, and why wouldn't he? Strebler with a shot on Neil King.
This is just a foot race, and my money's on Strev and his explosiveness out of the gate from the gun. 3rd and 1 from the gun. We've heard that song all season long.
3rd and 1 from the gun. It's
so familiar.
Strebler time. We might have to call that play the Strebler. He is something else. Rarely stopped for a loss or in his tracks. Under 2 to play. The rookie still at it, looking for his 2nd win in his 4th start, and almost picked. And Neil King almost had an answer.
Yeah, well, he did have an answer for getting trucked on the previous play. He went and made a diving breakup on a ball that was headed to the intended target, and boy, he just laid out for this. Nice job by Neil King. He's going to come in here like this and watch it. Get out there. Nicely done by the veteran from St. Mary's.
So many rookies out there for Winnipeg, so many scout team players for the most part. But a chance still to get a W. Strebler is going to go, he's going to time out.
Winnipeg. Yeah, they didn't have any time on the clock. A little late getting out of that huddle. And
6-point deficit for the Bombers, 1:43 to go in Edmonton.
Found a lower price on tires? We'll match it, guaranteed.
Mike O'Shea, this roller coaster season this team has been on. Remember, they peeled off 5 straight wins after losing 4 in a row. And remember when everything was going wrong in Winnipeg. They were crying for.
And the problem there was the same thing that the Edmonton Eskimos have been experiencing when they lose, is turnovers. They figured that out. They're a much better team.
Here goes Strebler again. That time that was altered. Great defensive play. Strebler tried to dish that off. And Strebler is slow to get up. It's going to come down to 3rd down and 10. Ball game again.
Yeah, and you got Sewell right here with a little pressure off the edge to flush him to Sewell. Sewell keeps on his horse and knows he can't get there, sees the route by the quarterback, and then corrals him and forces an errant throw. Love that. I mean, you would think this is a playoff game. Well, tremendous effort.
This is the last game of the year for the Eskimos. Who would have thought it would have come in the final game of the regular season? Strebler looking and firing and tipped away. Ball game, and isn't that appropriate that J.C. Sherritt would knock it away? Really the leader of this defense in so many ways. J.C. Sherritt told us yesterday he wants to be an Eskimo for life.
Yeah, you see at 47, he's trying to read the pattern, and he dives over there just like his counterpart, Neil King, and gets a fingertip on it right at the end. Otherwise, Corey Washington's got the 1st down. It looks like it's going to seal the deal here for the Eskimos.
J.C. Sherritt. A lot of smiles on that Edmonton sideline.
They're down.
Wanted to go out with a win here, and looks like they will with 1:32 to go. Nowhere to roam. Stuffed right there. Clock ticks down to 1:24.
Commentator Outdoor Clothing is brought to you by Nobis. This is Nobis.
How about that?
I don't know about that, but I was loving my Nobis jacket last night.
You're
when we were going to dinner.
You are going to love it in a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
my friend.
Those things were money last year and they're money this year, boy. You could be up in Alaska with those things and not even feel the wind on your back.
C.J. Gable, and he's slammed to the turf by Jackson Jeffcoat. He's finally getting a lot of reps back with the Bombers line after an upper body injury, kept him out of 5 games.
I think we're just skimming the surface with his abilities. I think he's going to be spectacular in this league. I think his upside is huge. If he can stay healthy, we're going to see a lot more of that young man.
So Jason Moss, 56 to go, and 3rd down.
This is a good win for them if they can seal the deal here with 45 seconds on the clock, and I think they're going to be able to do that. But
take the timeout. They will bring out Sean White, make it 2 possession.
Timeout. Edmonton. Look at that 56-degree lob wedge or pitcher wedge for him here.
Had that scraper, bar scraper earlier.
That's because that's all he needed. It's like some kickers in this league, they just pound the ball every time. I think it's Sean White. I think he just does what he's got to do to get it over the crossbar. And it's been phenomenal to watch.
There's a guy also who has not missed outside the 50-yard line all season.
God, it's been crazy how good he's been from way out.
This is a 35-yarder. Seal the deal, and he will. One of the highest percentages in CFL history, the veteran Sean White. Rare time not going to the postseason. Time now for our Nissan Titan Player of the Game, brought to you by Nissan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League.
We needed 49 yards coming into the ball game to break 1,000. He doubled that easily. And they used him often, and I think if you give the number 2 in this running back, C.J. Gable, the opportunity to get 20 touches a game, you're going to get that production from him. I know you're going to make the big boys up front happy. Mike Riley's going to have more time. He's going to give the defense something to think about. And C.J. Gable, beneficiary of some good blocking up front, some explosive runs by the man himself. C.J. Gable, nice. Nissan Titan Player of the Game. Good on him, man.
Well, much different demeanor on this sideline. Eskimos had their time to grieve. Not making the playoffs. Now, an off-season with so many question marks.
Yeah.
And there's the biggest one right there.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see, I mean, for the most part, we didn't see anybody visually injured in this football game. They laid it. They laid it out there. They laid it out there for 60 minutes, and I was happy to see these veterans and everybody on both sides walk away basically unscathed.
Nobody mailed it in, that's for sure. Final 38 will play this out. Charles Nelson's had a pretty nice debut. Look at that move. There's some upside to this guy. They'll be looking at him down the road. Nelson fresh out of college. Tiny guy, but quick feet. So Strebler, final few plays. And 30 seconds to go. You might think just take a couple of knees, even in a loss. Get ready for next week. Stay healthy. One thing about Chris Strebler, he's a slinger. And he's likely going to play this to the final gun. Looks like they will. Keep going after it. Strebler is wrapped up and brought down.
Jake. Serezna. Oh, did another cartwheel cartwheel for us.
It's getting better, by the way.
He's working on it.
It's getting better. Jake Ceresna cartwheels for his 8th sack.
Yeah, he's right here. He's going to double back inside and try to go get him some. Drives guard right back, falls back, and makes quick work of seriously, he's come a long way with that cartwheel.
Strebler doesn't look like that was caught. So for the Blue Bombers, though, they stay healthy in this one. Andrew Harris gets another rushing title. That was decided in the first couple of plays. Ryan Langford showed that if Justin Medlock ever has an issue, this guy's a more than capable backup.
How good is that?
That was remarkable to watch, actually.
And the competitive instincts for the Edmonton Eskimos, and certainly their leader, Mike Riley, to come out here and do the things they did.
See him.
Hats off to both these football teams for respecting the game and playing it like it's meant to be played.
Playing it to that final whistle, final play upcoming. And now the Bombers will get ready to head home and then watch and wait that final game of our triple header later today. The Stamps take on the BC Lions. They don't know where they're going yet. It could be Calgary.
Yeah.
It could be Saskatchewan.
Hey, keep the barbecues going, keep the snacks flowing, because you got a couple more football games today to take in as a CFL fan. And I mean, if they're as good as this one, you're in for a treat.
If you buy into the theory that you have to ride hot going into the playoffs, and even though Winnipeg lost this game, keep in mind, again, not a lot of their regulars. I think they would be very satisfied with the way they played here today and the way they're peaking towards it. You have to like the Bombers' chances in the postseason.
Yeah, just take care of the football and be who they've been for the last basically 5 to 6 weeks.
This could be Mike Riley's.
Yeah, and there's a lot. Look at the coaches there. Benny congratulating Moss, patting him on the back. All these coaches put so much time. There's Mike Gibson on Jason's left, your right. There's a lot of
it's like a little
uncertainty
emotion
in the air.
Emotion on the sideline. And was that the final snap as an Eskimo for Mike Riley?
Yeah, we'll find out.
The next few months will determine that. One thing for sure, this guy is one of the greatest gamers this league has ever seen.
Yeah.
Showed it again today. Jason Moss does get a win. They finished 9-9. The Bombers finished 10-8. Winnipeg goes to the playoffs. Eskimos will watch. Let the playoff games begin as we send it back to the studio.
Thank you, Rod. 2 more regular season games to go, though, today in our triple header. We will have Montreal and Hamilton coming up here on TSN. Back with Henry Burris, Davis Sanchez, Milt Siegel. We talked about it at the half. Just one more time about the Edmonton Eskimos, who, as Rod Black mentioned, finished at 9-9. A year ago, Henry, that was good enough to win a Grey Cup for the Argos. But this time for the Eskimos, out of the playoffs. And, you got to wonder what the future has in store, especially beginning at the quarterback.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Edmonton, it was a case of the Wild Wild West this year because, again, they were right there in the race throughout the first 9 games, being 6-3. But, I mean, all heck broke loose after that. But all the other teams did get hot, and it made it much tougher for Edmonton, who were dealing with the mounting receiver injuries that they had. And, of course, it just seemed like they were the one team who could not recover because then Saskatchewan took off. Winnipeg took off. Now you look at the future, but it was good to see guys like C.J. Gable, Mike Riley, Duke Williams, those guys still making plays, playing to the final. Exactly, playing to the final whistle.
We talked about it a minute ago. If there's any question, this team quit on Benny or on Jason Moss, that was out of the question. These guys, they played hard. They played hard.
Yeah. Well, you got to look at, are these same players are going to be there? Is Mike Riley going to be there? Is Duke Williams? He'll probably go to the NFL. Is Darrell Walker going to be? Who's going to be there? Is Jason Moss going to be there? Are we going to see a totally different team? You have to make changes. When you don't make the playoffs in the CFL, well, 6 out of the 9 teams make the playoffs, you have to make changes.
This might be the best 9-9 team we've seen in a long time.
That's an oxymoron.
Well, anyway,
a good 9. You're not in the playoffs, Chaz.
A tougher pill to swallow with the Grey Cup in Edmonton this year. Ticats have a playoff game next week. They finish the regular season against Montreal coming up on TSN.